me really start by welcoming everybody and congratulating you. And the congratulations is in order because we've been doing this a long time. And by the way, my name's Sanford Fish, and you'll also get to meet Robert Armstrong. We'll be doing some of the talking initially, and then we'll turn it over to all of you. And we like to congratulate everybody because you've done what most never do. And we've been doing this a long time. And we've watched people make decisions to look into the academy, to come to a boot camp, and then we're always amazed at how many times people don't actually show up. But all of you have made the commitment, and now you've done the next step, which is showing up to the boot camp. And we recognize it takes effort, even though now there's not the travel that is required when we do it either in a location like San Diego, or we were scheduled to be in Florida in the spring. And our next one will be, hopefully it'll be in Austin, Texas. But there's still an effort that goes into this, to being able to show up, to organize your schedule, because they are long days. There's a lot of commitment of time and effort in this, but you're all to be congratulated because you've really taken the steps necessary. So we like to recognize that and really acknowledge that. Now, what we've also recognized is that, got to go back there, is that with Zoom meetings, you can look at this diagram. With Zoom meetings, it's a whole new world. We want to make sure that you're actually able to concentrate on all this. We know there's lots of distractions, and you can see some of them there. Now, most of the time, the kids aren't running around the house, the cat's not running across the keyboard, all the other things that you see up there. So you're hopefully ready for this and focused on this. You'll be able to get back to all the other daily things that keep you busy each day, during the breaks, at lunchtime, or after we conclude today. Those are some things to keep in mind so that you really can focus on this. And what we've tried to do is keep more breaks intact so that we give everybody a rest. Hopefully you have plenty of coffee, water, whatever your beverage of choice is. Now, what we have seen is that over the last 30 years, we've seen, and we know what the typical day of most lawyers really looks like. And you'll see which ones you can identify with. And generally speaking, nowadays, maybe more than ever, electronically connected all day long. Get up in the morning, you're at home, we've got the phones, now with watches, all kinds of electronic connection. Then typically rushing out the door to try and get to the office. We know now it may be different depending upon the setup and whether you're permitted to go back to the office. Some may be rushing to the computer to turn it on and get to work right away. But in the past, it's generally been rushing out of the house. Let's get there, no time for a proper breakfast. And then once you get to the office, there's demands all day long, demand after demand, rushing from one item to the next. Often interruptions, big distraction, interruptions at the office. And then maybe you get a break, lunchtime finally comes, but we know many wind up eating lunch at their desk or not taking lunch at all. And then the other thing that we've witnessed is that typically once everyone leaves at the end of the day, who's left there? Who stays around late? And I think about this because I can remember in earlier days in my career when everyone would be leaving at 5 o'clock or 5:30, and I'd be sitting there looking out the window at my desk, keeping my head down and doing work, and look up and I'm the only one there. So some of you may be able to identify that as well. But it doesn't really just stop there. We have busy days all week long, and then the weekend comes and we think, oh, well, maybe there'll be a break. But we know what it's like on the weekends. Even during the week, sometimes we've seen people take work home at night. Everyone goes to sleep and you do a little extra work from maybe 9 to 11. But then the weekend comes, and then it's sort of this tug of war. Do I spend time away from the office, away from the work, spend time with family, or do I try and just catch up, get ahead so next week will be a little different? Put in some more hours so I have a little bit more billable time. We know what that's like. And it's difficult, but we've seen that and we'll address that today. And now, of course, we also know that you've got to wear a lot of different hats. As the owner of your law firm, certainly you have to know the law. You have to be a legal technician. Then, of course, you've got to be up on marketing, social media, and that's continuously changing. So you've got to be an expert in that. And then, of course, you want to make sure you know how to manage the firm from a financial standpoint. And then the other one that we kind of joke about a little bit, because it doesn't seem that anyone really likes to wear this hat, which is the human resources hat, dealing with any of those issues. And now, whether it's human resources or the new hat is, okay, we now have to address this whole COVID situation. And what are the requirements under that for coming back to the office? And what are the implications of that as well? So there's a lot of different hats that everybody has to wear, but there's more to it than just that. Robert, why don't you take it from here?
Yeah, so we know the concerns that keep you up at night. The first one is there's no control over the economic direction of the firm, and no time has this been more prominent than the pandemic. We don't have any control over that, which actually impacts the economic direction of your firm, and no idea about the next technology innovation and whether you should even if you understand it, whether you should even use it. And your law practice is treated like a commodity by your clients. And also non-lawyers increasingly invading our space. You know, venture capital is pouring millions into new ventures, trying to really just put us out of business. And the legal industry itself is under attack. It's no longer the honored profession that it once was. But I think most demoralizing of all is there's a loss of hope for the future and the career that you always imagined. The dream that fueled you through law school is almost dead. But cynicism and resignation have replaced optimism and possibility. But what we want to tell you today, this morning, is that help is on the way. And no, it does not have to be that way. And you see the title up there, Purpose? This is our purpose. And we want you to understand this because this is where it's the wellspring of everything that happens at the Academy. Our purpose is to inspire and guide people to transform their lives. And we have a mission. And the mission is to empower attorneys to grow beyond what they ever thought possible. And in order to make that happen, we have some core values that are at the heart of everything we do here at the Academy. And we hope you have some core values as well. And our core values is we're an A team. We take the high road. Member success is our success. And of course, we learn, we innovate, and we share and inspire. Those are our values.
And the one of the beauties of the boot camp, whether it's online or certainly when we're all gathered together in person, is that you get to experience the Academy itself, the Academy team, the Academy members. And up to this point, you've already experienced the Academy team, and many, if not all of you, have spoken with members. So you get to start to evaluate if the things we say are consistent with the actions that we take. And we welcome you to make that examination. You know, here's a couple of quotes that we always like to put in there. Here's a California member said, "The Academy has proven invaluable to me. What I find most beneficial about the Academy is that it has provided me a structure for not only marketing of my law firm, but for the operation of the firm." Another member out of Ohio, "I've been an Academy member since October of 1993, so more than 25 years. What I find most in my Academy experience is inspiration as to the cutting edge estate planning techniques, inspiration to do more with respect to the same individuals and my staff, and an inspiration to be the best I can be. All new management techniques on a constant basis, better ways to do what I do as an estate planning attorney." So at the Academy, we try to concentrate on a multiple number of things in the firm: your team, technical aspects, how to manage, how to market, how to treat clients, and do the best job, as well as you as individuals, making sure that we give you a path and some guidance so that you can reach really your full potential. So with all of that, welcome to the fall 2020 boot camp, our Academy Summit. As I said, it's the second one that's online. And let me just tell you real quickly a little bit about myself. A co-founder of the Academy, a principal in the law firm of Armstrong, Fish and Titoli, practicing since 1980. From back east, Boston University, well, grew up in New Jersey, went up to Boston University, then came out west to the University of San Diego for law school, and then went back for a tax degree at Georgetown, and then came back out to San Diego, licensed for insurance, and co-authored with Robert on the E-Myth, Estate Planning Basics, and Legacy Wealth Planning. Robert, of course, the co-founder of the Academy, a principal in Armstrong, Fish and Titoli, practicing since '76, graduated from UC San Diego. By the way, Robert's from Canada, and came out to California and went to UC San Diego, University of San Diego as well for law school, and then financial services, licensed in insurance, and of course, as I said, co-author of the E-Myth, Estate Planning Basics, and Legacy Wealth Planning. So that's a little bit about us, and you'll get to hear a lot from us today and tomorrow. This is just the office here in San Diego. And what we like to do is quickly go through other Academy team members. Of course, we talked about the two of us, but also Jennifer Price, which I believe all of you have spoken to and probably have done the strategic planning call with Jennifer as Chief Operating Officer. In addition, in our education department, Steve Hartnett. Steve is the Director of Education, assisted by Donna. And Dennis Sandoval had been our Director of Education for many years, since 2000, and then he has become Director Emeritus and has gone back into practice full-time. In addition, the Academy team, from the membership development standpoint, Jennifer also heads that up. All of you have spoken with either Ivy or Charisse. Of course, Sarah had started us off this morning and did a fabulous job, and Natalie as well in the marketing and in that department. Then we go to the coaching area, or as we call it, the member services team, and that's led by Alicia Durante. He's been a Director of Member Services since 2018. And then you can see Susan and Lillian, coaches, and I point out how long they've been here at the Academy. Since 1997 for Susan, Lillian since '03. So they have been here for a long time and have helped many, many attorneys realize their dreams in their practice. In addition, Timur Mubarak is also a newer coach since 2019, and then assisted by Stephanie, also newer as the Member Services Coordinator. The projects and event planning team, headed up by Erin Matthew, and we like to say that everything that goes right at events is due to Erin and her event manager, Chloe. And as you can see, Erin has been with the Academy since '07, Chloe since 2018. And then Medeus is our graphic designer, and you can see Medeus has been with us for a long, long time, since 1998. And then Chelsea is newer as an assistant in the PEP, the Projects and Event Planning Department. In addition, accounting and operations, keeping everything moving, and Tess is the accounting manager, and she's newer here at the Academy. And then Tracy, who's been the operations manager, and she's been here since 1997. Also, web and online marketing services, headed up by Rita Chairs, here since 2010. EJazz, who's been here since 2015. And then Roberta and Kim, Roberta since 2018 and Kim since 2019. Technical support. Well, we've got a tremendous team in the tech support area. Randy Horrock, who's been around for a long time, really, he was with us at the law firm and then came over to the Academy when we started the Academy in 1993. That's why you see his 1992 there. Then we also have Donna Hooper, who's been with us now 15 years, and Randy Murray since 2015, Prakash since '05, and then Taylor since 2019. So that's the Academy team. Again, you'll get to experience them firsthand, And we also welcome all input on your interactions with the Academy, because we like to continuously improve. Now, during this, again, it's going to be a matter of focus, being able to eliminate distractions. And so we just put this up there to remind you, no cell phones, try not to text, try not to look at email, and really can make it a game with yourself to say, okay, I'm going to stay right here during each session and not let myself be distracted in any way. So give that a try, and we think you'll get the most out of the boot camp. Just a little bit about the Academy. Again, I just mentioned it was founded back in 1993. Our headquarters are here in San Diego. It's owned by Robert and me, and we're just an exclusive membership organization. We have members in 44 states. We have over 135 territories filled, and there's limited territories that are available. That's the Academy itself a little bit, but more important is really the members. And we encourage you to talk to members, and we know that we give you names of different members to call, or if you want, just go on the website, look up members and just give them a call. They're very receptive to talking to anyone who is looking into the Academy. And one of the reasons is because they were in the position you're in right now, investigating whether to make the leap to join the Academy. And as you can see, we've got members, 20% that have been here more than 25 years as an Academy member. And then you can go down the list, 17% between 20 and 24 years and on down. So you can see that people stay a long time at the Academy. You know, the way we're organized, we try and organize it through addressing estate planning, both sort of basic estate planning and advanced planning, post-mortem planning, which would of course be trust administration and probate, elder law planning, dealing with Medicaid and being able to qualify for that, as well as we also have another division that helps with financial services or financial coaching, if that's something that you want to expand into. And we'll talk about that later. That's one of our other systems that we'll go through during the boot camp itself. The departments, we've got continuing education, and although Robert and I won't be talking much at all about the legal technical, we'll touch on the continuing education department as one of our systems. And again, it's a way to think of it is like the education department is your senior partner in the law firm. So you can go to the education department and really discuss issues that you're having with any particular case. In addition, we've got software creation and the technical support, projects and event planning, finance and accounting, membership recruiting and development, the member services, which is the coaching department. Everyone will have a practice building coach to help you implement and then continue to build your law firm. We have the online services, that's the OMG department. And then of course, we've got marketing and public relations. And we'll go through all the different systems today. So once again, congratulations, you made it here. It's a very unique event. Although we're online, you are surrounded by members, you're surrounded by success. So these are like-minded attorneys. And what you're going to have over the next 2 days is really an opportunity to transform your practice and really transform your life, because we know that, you know, what we do, it's not separate, it's part, I mean, it's life, and life has components to it. And this is really an opportunity to transform the way you operate in the world. And we say that, and when you heard Robert talk about what our purpose is and our mission, you know, that's been developed based upon our own firsthand experience working with attorneys, and we've seen it happen. And you'll hear them talk about the fact that, boy, when they joined the Academy, it changed their life. And look, when we started the Academy in 1993, we didn't have that in mind. We knew that we had been successful as attorneys. We knew that we had systems in place, and we were going to help others use our systems. What we found out over the subsequent years was the enormous impact of creating this thing called the American Academy of Estate Planning Attorneys had on attorneys and how it changed their lives. So we didn't see that coming at the very beginning, not at all. But we saw it develop and it's a reality. So we like to talk about it now because that's the real opportunity that you have in front of you at this point. So wherever you are right now, this is a time, and that's why we say, block out the distractions. This is a time where you've got a unique opportunity to start to chart the rest of your career and make changes to your life that you may have thought about in the past, but now the opportunity is here and we can get you where you want to be. Now, that's our introduction to this, but now let's get down to what we really are interested in hearing. And you can see we've provided you some information and we want you to go through these two forms. We're going to give you a few minutes to do that. And then we're going to ask each of you to talk to us and let us know, what's going to make this a great experience for you. So we're going to give you time to go through the two forms. And then we're going to ask you to introduce yourself. How long have you been practicing? Why are you here today? And then tell us specifically what has to happen here for this experience to be a defining moment in your legal career.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to the 2020 Fall Boot Camp. It was so great to experience all of the introductions. I know it took a long time to do it, but if you look at it from a different perspective, lawyers are a lonely lot, and lawyers generally are isolated from other lawyers in their area. And so consequently, we have this crazy loop of thoughts in our mind that we're the only people that have concerns or are troubled or feeling anxious about things. And one of the things that's a benefit of hearing everyone's introduction, that here there are lots of people around the country who want to get into estate planning or already in estate planning and want to improve their practices, but they let you know, they're vulnerable enough to let you know that they need some help. And so I guess you could say misery loves company, but I look at it more like we're a community, and all of the people that introduce themselves, all the people here today have an opportunity to meet other people who are members of the Academy and really get a chance to improve their practices. So thank you so much for all those introductions, and don't worry, we've got lots of material, lots of content to throw at you this morning. So first thing I want to do is take us back in history, back in the Middle Ages, when there were a bunch of guilds. There's the Baker's Guild and the blacksmith and all of that kind of thing. But one of the other guilds is the start of what it meant to be an attorney, a lawyer. And they had a guild. And one of the things about a guild is that they preserve the knowledge and they do not want anyone else outside of their group to get any of that knowledge. And so they had tight rules upon who got to practice law and who got to understand all of the rules of law. And so what happened was, over the years, okay, so we're back in the guilds and so there was like these hundreds of years of legal formalities. When I was a kid, I lived in London and I worked in an area called the Middle Temple, which is the headquarters for the London Bar Association. And so I got to see every day all of these attorneys, solicitors, barristers walking around with their wigs and their gowns. And so that's very much alive still today in 2020 in lots of places of the world. But we've got all of these legal formalities that we want to make sure that we break out of that and have really truly a business that's open to anyone who wants to get into it. And so when you go to law school, one of the things that they teach you is all of these intellectual concepts. I mean, you have zero practical experience. You can argue with God, but you don't know your way to court. And I mean, I went to law school back in the early 1970s. And when we graduated from law school, we didn't know anything about the business of practicing law. We had all of these appellate theories and studies that we went through, but really never got into how to practice. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next couple of days, how to have a business of estate planning. And so back in like 1959, the invention of the microchip, I think changed everything in the world. The entire world changed. And if you look at this timeline of how technology impacted this tradition-bound practice area called lawyering, you can see that microchip, the personal computer, then powerful personal computers in the 1990s, the World Wide Web in 1991, social media, 1997, Wi-Fi, cloud computing, first iPhone. Gee, that's not that long ago, is it? 12 years ago, 13 years ago, the first iPhone was introduced, Windows 10 and 5G, and we could have 100 other little areas where new innovations came to the practice of law, or tools to be used in the practice of law. And what I want to talk to you about is just this timeline of technological innovation and what it means in terms of this graphic I want to show you. So for example, if you take all of the innovations that have been happening and you look at what the expected projection of the technological advances are going to be, and let's just say we represent that by a golf ball. So the size of a golf ball represents all of the technological changes that have happened up to today. And if you project out into the future, let's say we're going to project to 2040, 20 years from now, what we found is that golf ball is going to be the size of the sun. Now, this is not hyperbole. This is not some sort of wild-eyed fantasy of how the world's going to change in the next 20 years. This is using science and mathematics and algorithms to show that everything that went on up to now is going to completely morph. So the world that you're living in right now is going to change dramatically. And I don't mean just change dramatically as a citizen, but change dramatically as an attorney. And so we know that there's online competitors everywhere. You type in anything in Google and within a fraction of a second, you get tens of thousands, perhaps millions of entries. So you're not just competing with the guy down the street, you're competing with the entire world. And so what we want to do in this boot camp is show you how you can have basic fundamental knowledge of what it means to run a practice so that you can dominate whatever market you're in. And our Academy members will tell you that's what's happened for them. So for example, a lot of people say, oh my God, the sky is falling, LegalZoom is here, and it is going to take over all of the legal work and estate planning. But you know, let's look at LegalZoom. The quality is not nearly as good as a lawyer's product. And there's no family support, bare bones documents, no assurances that anything that the documents purport to do is going to work. They're cheap, but you get what you pay for, and there's no follow-up. And that's what people are talking about with LegalZoom. Not nearly as good as the lawyer's product. However, that's going to change as part of that technological revolution that we're talking about. Their documents may be very, very good. Let's look at LegalZoom. Almost 3,600,000 orders have been placed through their website. 275 million estimated in revenue in 2019. In California, they got 20% of the California limited liability companies, all done by LegalZoom, and 4 million customers served during the past 18 years. But that's not the whole story of LegalZoom. What we want to use LegalZoom about is, or to focus on, is that practices that are focused on technical knowledge will be replaced. And a large percentage of professions will be eliminated as we go from that golf ball to the sun. And so if you are focused on, I want to be a certified specialist, I want to know everything about the law, when the algorithms start to take over, those credentials are not going to mean anything at all. And matter of fact, at Oxford, they did a study not long ago that said 47% of the jobs, 47%, almost 50% of the jobs will disappear in the next 25 years. So if you're relying on your knowledge of the law, then you may be out of business when the algorithms take over. Because this is what happens. And it doesn't just happen in the law, it happens everywhere. And it's a fancy term called disintermediation. And it just means we cut out the middlemen. And it happened with bookstores and headhunters and financial advisors, attorneys, computer hardware, software, music stores, all of those things. The consumer can now go right to the source and cut out the middleman. And the middleman, unfortunately, in the legal profession is you. And they have taken aim at you. And so if you don't have a solid foundation in business, in serving the client's needs, not just from a technical standpoint, but from a relationship standpoint, you'll be one of those sad statistics. It turns everything into a commodity. You know, you don't care where you get your eggs or your milk or copper or generic drugs, water, electricity, gas, because they're just commodities. And unfortunately, a lot of lawyers and their services have been dumped into this category of commodity. And today that stops for all of you because you're not a commodity. You are something that is incredibly valuable and unique. And the kind of services that you provide should not ever be able to be turned into a commodity. Now, you'll use the tools of technology to present yourself, but you're going to be based in relationship, not on just technical competence. Now, as Microsoft used to say, I don't know if many of you remember this, surrender, resistance is futile, because they owned the computer market in the early days. And so the question is for all of you is, should you throw up your hands and surrender in the face of the inevitability of it all? And our answer, of course, is no, you don't want to surrender. Because what we want you to do is answer the question, how do you compete in this new world? You want to resist the commodity label so that you're not just another attorney. And the same can be said about other professionals, not just another CPA or financial advisor, architect, whatever you have. So we want to show you how to compete in this new world, because everyone looks the same when you look through the lens of a commodity view of legal services. How can a consumer tell us apart? And you can't blame them. We all say the same thing: experience, credentials, service. It's all like blah, blah, blah. It's a commodity view of legal services. And we want to break out of that to show you that you're not a commodity because you have a relationship with the clients. Now, technology will never address these primary human needs. So we've been talking about this inevitable sweep of technology in the next 20 years that's going to change the world that we know as to how things are produced and the kind of technology behind it. But if you take off your technician's hat, this hat that has all of the legal knowledge, technology will never replace primary human needs. And here are the human needs. I want you to really pay attention to this, because people have a need to emotionally belong. They have a need to be relieved of a responsibility. Many of you don't cut your own lawn or cut your hair or fix your own car because you want to be relieved of the responsibility of that, and you're willing to give it to somebody else. Also, there's a need to be led. People are walking around like they've got an umbilical cord. They're looking for somebody to plug into. They need to be led, emotionally belong, relieved of responsibility, need to be led. And here's the final part. They need a deep, trusting relationship. All of us know, I mean, if you look around your own life and you see all of the vendors that you deal with, the ones that have a deep, trusting relationship with you are the ones that you're going to stay with. So it's just a fabulous way to look at it. When you take off your technician's hat, you can breathe a sigh of relief because you're not going to be caught up in the elimination of the professions that we talked about. 47% of them disappear, because we're going to be focusing on these 4 areas as you move into your practice. So what we want you to do, after we've talked about this whole idea of what can't be replaced by technology, and the need to be led, the need to have deep trusting relationships and others, What we want to do today and tomorrow and throughout this entire fall summit is we want you to kind of reimagine your firm as an instrument of your self-expression, not the Academy's self-expression, your self-expression. We want you to embrace your law firm that you've probably never done before in your life. Embrace it as a value-creating machine. Sarah, can you hit the next one? Okay, so it's a whole new view of what it means to own a professional firm. And again, we're going to break this paradigm that you've been told what it means to be a lawyer owning your own practice. And what we want to tell you is that this is not a place to sign documents or create estate plans. This is not a business structure to put food on the table or to pay the rent. But this is really something much more. It's an invitation to enter a world that you created, the absolute pinnacle of creation. This business that you have is something that you can create, a place where you're not just another attorney. Sarah, can you give me the, okay. And this is a firm built on systems. We're going to talk about 11 essential systems that you need to have. Over the next 2 days, we're going to focus in on a firm built on systems. And this is what that looks like. This is how we answer the phones here. This is how we generate estate plans here. This is how we stay in touch with our clients here. This is how we greet clients here. This is how we conduct client meetings here. This is a system that we give you and you make it your own, where you internalize it and you say, I am going to have a reimagined firm where I am going to create systems and this is how we're going to operate. And it's an expression of me. And this is something we really want you to get. This is not technology. This is you imagining a new way to practice law. Sarah? Okay. So here's a question for you. Do you know what business you're in? I can guarantee you that most of the people on the call today do not know what business they're in. You're not in the business of providing estate planning services. Oh, that's a surprise. You're not in the business of delivering peace of mind to families. Oh my goodness, I thought that's what I was doing. And you're not in the business of creating documents and plans. Well, if you're not doing all of these, what kind of business are you in? You're not in the business of probating an estate, of filing a conservatorship, of filing a tax return, resolving family dispute, administering a trust. All the things that you thought you were in the business of, those are incidental. Really, Sarah? And to prove it, you know, have you ever asked yourself, what services can clients acquire without any face-to-face meetings or interaction? Because it's a do-it-yourself world. In case you hadn't noticed, Google and the internet have made it a do-it-yourself world. You get a living trust, a last will, power of attorney, healthcare powers, financial plans, all of the things on that screen you can get by not even talking to anybody. It's all on the internet. So here's your real business. Now, this is a writer-downer. You want to pay attention to this. This is your real business. The best way for you to think about your law firm is that you are in the relationship business. The relationship business, that's all you need to remember. All the rest is incidental. You're going to take your knowledge, your experience, and your wisdom, and you're going to provide value, protection, and advice for clients. So this should be written large wherever you're taking notes. You are in the relationship business. And there are only two assets that you can protect in life these days. And that's your relationship with your clients and your firm's unique position in the marketplace. And we're going to show you how to do all of that. But remember, it all comes back to relationship. A relationship practice, not a transactional one. 99.9% of the estate planning attorneys in America are transactionally based. They get signed up, they do an engagement for a client, they do the work, and they put the file away. and they never have any contact with those clients again. This new, can you go back? Okay, the new purpose of your business is to create deep relationships, leading to a transformation of the client's planning expectations. Now, if this sounds woo-woo to you, trust me, it's not. And we've got a whole academy filled with members who are based upon this fundamental idea of having deep relationships. And here you want to think about the way the difference for this is you do not get a client to make a sale. You make a sale to get a client. And the distinction is that once you get a client, that's just the beginning of the relationship. You further deepen that relationship as time goes on. Sarah? Now, obviously, this is a radical approach to the practice of law, but that's why you came here. You wanted to find something that's going to break you out of the mold, have you completely dominate and own your market, and have a practice that you love. Most law firms have very few intentional systems. Everybody's got systems. I mean, there are systems by not even having an intentional system. It's whatever, you know, the latest paralegal you signed, you hired, whatever her system or his systems are. There's no unique way of operating or the overall firm brand. There's no consistency in service. And all of you who have been practicing for a while know that when some employee gets let go or leaves or moves across the country or whatever the reason is, and you hire somebody new, if you don't have systems, that new employee is going to change the process. And pretty soon your law firm is not going to look anything like you thought it was. But academy firms are different because we have relationships with the clients. And then we have these 11 systems that we're going to go through one by one over the next 2 days, based upon relationships and run by systems. And this is going to transform your law firm. And we fervently believe that it will create the practice you love. And we'll hold your hand the entire way through it because the Academy has a unique value proposition. Our whole idea is that we want you to be a master technician and a savvy business practitioner. And so the master technician and the business practitioner together, systems, strategies, and coaching that marry the legal technician with the rigorous business practices. So we're not discounting the technical knowledge that you'll need, but it has to be coupled with really savvy business practices. The Academy systems approach. Okay, here are the 11 systems. And you notice there's a top row and there's a bottom row, and then there's a middle row. Well, the top row and the bottom row are all about things that happen behind the scenes. They're your strategic planning system, your finance and operations, a systems approach to leadership, staff accountability and team building system, comprehensive technology system, continuing legal education system, something called ancillary business systems, and we're going to explain what that means, and then an ongoing mastermind system. Now, you saw an example of an ongoing mastermind system when one of our members offered and put on the chat his name, his phone number, his cell number, his email address, all of that stuff, because he is committed to your success. So what's the middle one? The middle one is marketing, personal consultation system, and workflow system. This is the one that is there every single day. The other ones kind of surround it, and you bathe in those other systems. So those are the Academy's systems, and we'll go through all of them by the time we leave tomorrow. So we are committed to everyone here, all of you that are here, whether you're a law firm that's come back to kind of reboot and prevent Academy drift, but we're committed to everyone here having a breakthrough in the way they see their firm, something you've never thought about before. And you can challenge us to that. So that's a bold promise that you're going to have a breakthrough. Well, everybody says that they're going to have a breakthrough. I mean, you can't go to any webinar where people don't say you're going to have a breakthrough. We're going to show you what a breakthrough looks like. And we're going to take it from the practice of law into Formula One racing. Now, Mercedes-Benz was can you go back a little? Mercedes-Benz was looking for an edge in their quest for Formula One victories. And, you know, they looked at everything. They looked at all the technology. They looked at everything they could say, and it was difficult to make the vehicles go any faster. And so what they decided to do was, let's speed up the pit stops. And I want to show you what an actual breakthrough looks like. And we're going to show you a video of the transformation of pit stops in Formula One. And if you can think about your law firm this way, that would be great. This is the kind of breakthrough we want you to have, where you look at something in a completely different way. And if you implement the Academy's 11 systems in your firm, we believe that you're going to see a transformation in every single area of your practice. It will be unrecognizable. And so that's why we ask that you eliminate all the distractions. I know I've been on a million webinars, and sometimes I'm looking at email, I'm checking different things. Do yourself a favor. Get rid of that. Shut down your email. Be totally focused on the fact that you want to change your practice into something that you love. And we will show you exactly how to do it. So Sandy, I think you're up next.
You are correct. And Sarah, what we'll try to do here is, if you can give me control of the slides, I'll see if I can get it going.
Once you click on the screen, you should have control.
All right. Clicking is done, and away we go. Okay, you know, on that video, the line that jumped out at me was when the announcer says, "The tires are finally changed at last," because you could just feel he really didn't have much anxiety. He was just reporting, but compared to what we're now used to, it was kind of funny. So yeah, so that's what innovation looks like. So now we're going to jump into going through the 11 systems. I'm going to take us through the first 3 systems of the overall Academy systems. And the first one is aligning your business with your personal values. So that's the strategic planning system. And there are really 3 components to this. And I think everybody has been through this. But it's important to really get this embedded in your mind, so you see exactly what the process is, and that you know and have had time to really consider what you want your business to look like, and more importantly, what you want your life to look like. So the 3 components, the 3-step process is the primary aim, and that's what are your life's goals? What's the picture of your ideal life? Then the strategic objective, that's step 2, that's the vision of your law firm and how it will support your life. And then we'll look at the organizational strategy. And this is what needs to happen in the business. So we're kind of going down from step to step. Here's what I want life to look like. Here's what I want the business to look like. Now, how do I get the business to look like that? What actually needs to happen? And most importantly, who's accountable for each of the things that has to happen in the law firm itself? So that's the 3-step process that we've been using for many, many years. However, that process is not going to work nearly as effective unless you have your why. So that's, nothing works unless you really know, why am I doing this? And that's what we want to talk about for a moment. And the way we're going to do that best is, that was a concept that we came across from Simon Sinek. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the chat and we're going to watch this video. Now I think everyone can see why we start with the foundation before we move into our 3-step process, the foundation of the why. And it's really interesting for us personally, because over time doing this at the Academy, it became very clear to us as we worked on this what our why is, and that, you know, we're here to help people transform their lives. And then more specifically, to really help attorneys, to help each of you really do more and accomplish more than you may have ever thought possible. The beauty of this is that, this isn't like theory for us. This has actually happened, and the evidence is the Academy and Academy members that, again, all of you can talk to. So we wanted to make sure that we took this whole concept and really brought it to you at the law firm level, because we know it will make all the difference in your success. When you have an entire team that understands your why and that it is consistent with their why, it changes everything, and it makes the business much more successful, much more, it just makes it rock solid. So that's why we spend time on that, and that's the real foundation. Now, as we get into the specifics, we like to put this rule up here because it really came from the original book, The E-Myth, by Michael Gerber, who we then co-authored The E-Myth Attorney with, is that you must work on your business, not just in your business. And someone mentioned that this morning during the introductions. They wanted to spend more time working on their business, not just in it. And the on it is working on the business itself. The in it is the day-to-day activities required in the business. Right now, all of you, hopefully, if you're not distracted looking at email, you're working on your business. You're really working on your life right now, trying to decide and plot what it's going to look like and where am I going to get the support in order to make that happen. So that's rule number one, working on your business, not just in your business. Now, going back to the 3 steps that we talked about: primary aim, strategic objective, organizational strategy. The first one, the primary aim, creating the overall plan. And what the primary aim is to really stop for a moment and ask yourself the questions. What do I want life to look like? What will it look like on a day-to-day basis? What do you want your relationships to look like? Who are my, what do I want it to look like with family, with friends, with employees, clients, community, all those different things. Being able to assess, what do you want to be doing, over the next year, over the next 3 years, 5, 10, 20 years? How much money will you need to support this? We don't shy away from talking about money. Finances are important. In order to have the lifestyle that you want, to have the life that you want, you need to have a business. The business needs to make money. So we talk about that. We're going to go through that through the systems. Very specifically, here's how to operate each system, and here's how to look at the finances of the system as well. So those are some things that help you really start to assess what's the primary aim. And then you're able to create standards. When you have your primary aim, you're going to have standards to help you measure your progress. It really brings vision to the business, and it really brings everything to life. And it helps to create the foundation for all business decisions. When you know exactly where you want to go, when things are coming at you, you'll know whether to say yes or no. And we'll talk about this a little bit later in the week. The importance of being able to say no is what's going to really help you get the success you want in your business itself. So you've already been through this. Wanted to remind you of it. Hopefully you've written what your primary aim is and what it should look like. And again, I create value everywhere I go. I enrich the lives of others. I'm an inspiration, connection, and contribution. Whatever yours is, you want to be crystal clear about that. Now, I'll be back in one moment. Okay, now next, step 2, creating your strategic plan. The strategic plan, and again, this picture helps you see, I've got my primary aim. Now, how am I going to support that? Well, I need a business in order to create this life. So we want to create a written picture of what your business will be like when it's complete. So that's really what the strategic objective is. It's serving our primary aim. So we have to create this vision and be specific. What do I want it to look like? What are the benchmarks along the way? What is my why? We want to know, what's my gross revenue I'm looking for in year 1, in year 2, 3, 4? What's the size of the firm? What are the services? Number of employees? What's the office look and feel like? What are my engagement standards? We'll talk about that tomorrow morning. What's the office dress code even look like? So all the different details of what the business is going to look like from a monetary standpoint, as well as from a cultural standpoint. Now, remembering your why is more important than how or what you do. It's what the clients feel and the experience that they have. And this is a quote that we saw a long time ago from Charles Revson. In the factory, Revlon manufactures cosmetics, but in the store, Revlon sells hope. And it's all about the experience. And we take that concept of the experience and we bring it into the law firm as well. So it's very important to understand that. Now, step 3 is where we go even deeper in figuring out, okay, how's this business going to operate? What are the things that need to get done and who's responsible? Again, from the picture, you can see that we have the primary aim, then that is supported by your strategic objective, which now is supported by the organizational strategy. So it's the blueprint that you're creating to show what needs to get done in the firm and now who is accountable. What's different about this organizational strategy, this org chart we'll show you in a moment, is that we start by looking at the what needs to get done, not who. What needs to get done throughout the entire firm, and then we fill in the names of the people or the person. If you're a sole practitioner and your name's in every box, that at least you know what you have to get done. Now, the beauty of this, and we've been through this many times, when you're a sole practitioner, no employees, your name's in every box. You still have to do the chart because that way you see what needs to get done. In addition to organizing that, and your name's in every box, and that's not so great, but that you can then see, okay, when you hire your first employee, which of the boxes they take over. It's good for you to see that and look forward to, and it's also helps them understand what their position is and what they need to be accountable for. So it really organizes everything around the functions, not the personalities of people in the business. This idea of the personalities, this has come about over the years when someone joins the academy and they already have people in their law firm. And sometimes there's resistance to implementing some of the academy systems. And so you want to be mindful of that if that's the type of firm that you currently have. Okay, there's a sample organizational chart. And you can see there's the owner at the top, and then we organize everything. Excuse me, one more, I'm almost going to sneeze, then it goes away. We organize everything by lead generation, lead conversion, fulfillment, finance, and management. So there's 5 different functions in every firm. And then you can see throughout there, the lead generation, there may be a marketing coordinator, there may be a marketing assistant. Conversion, we have the attorney. And you can go through and you can see the different components under each one of the areas. Another chart here, again, the same lead generation, lead conversion, fulfillment, finance, and management. Okay, those are going to help you organize your business and then figuring out what needs to get done. And then ultimately, who are the people that are going to be in charge of each one of those boxes. Now, the reality is, can you do it? Well, it's easy to do, but it's easy not to do also. There's no question it can be done. And whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're going to be right. That's a quote from Henry Ford. So there we have it. We've got the first system, the strategic planning, and most of you have been through that. I mean, I remember way back why I wanted to do estate planning was I didn't understand the concept of the why way back then, but I knew one thing, and that was that wherever I went, everybody needed my services. Everybody needed estate planning, wherever I would go. I like to tell a story of one time I was out shopping for furniture, went into furniture store, and the salesperson came over and he started talking. And when you do that, what do they always, a lot of times salespeople will ask you, what do you do for a living? And how do you respond? And my response was, I help people with wills and trusts. very simple response. Everyone understands it. And I remember him, and he said, "Oh, really?" And he took such an interest. It was no longer about him selling me furniture. It was him talking about his family, his daughter, and how he wanted to make sure he took care of her and she was going to take over the business someday, on and on and on. And of course, he wanted my card. And of course, he did become a client. I remember him very well, Maury. And then, of course, we did the estate plan for him. We did one for his daughter. We took care of when Maury passed away. And so everybody needs this work. So it's fabulous. Fabulous area of the law. And then as you discover your why, it really can mesh and be very powerful. Robert, you want to talk about something we heard in one of our peak coaching programs where, and it was mentioned a little bit by Steve, where people think it's only for the rich, and how someone once shared with us how rich people were perceived, which he felt was helping, which was hindering him in his business to be successful. Remember the story I'm talking about?
Yeah, about people thinking that rich people were evil.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So people grow up in families where it's inculcated in them. The message comes loud and clear that rich people are evil, that rich people only cheat and steal. And therefore, if they have that mindset, then what does that do to their ability to actually have a successful practice? Because now they've become that rich, evil person. So it all goes to mindset. And that's something we work on a lot in the academy. And there's also another expression that says, if you sell to the classes, you'll eat with the masses. If you sell to the masses, you'll eat with the classes. In other words, if you've got a practice that's solely devoted to rich people, you're not going to make a lot of money. If you've got a practice that the heart of it are the mass of the middle class, then you're going to have a very, very successful practice. And we get into a lot of that in the academy when we talk to members.
Yeah, so it's very important to really examine your own mindset when you're talking about the success you want to have and the success of the business. And as you get to know Robert and me and the academy better, we're going to tell it like it is to you. And I can remember, as you're talking, Robert, reminded me of another story where, we had an academy member, was a member for a fair number of years, and then he got to a point and he left the academy, which is okay, and on his way out, he goes, you guys are all about the business and making money. We're like, yeah, where's the problem in that? Well, I just don't really want to charge my clients that much. I said, hey, if you're uncomfortable and you feel that the value you're delivering is not worth the fees you're charging, then clearly don't charge more fees. Now, we have a very strong belief, and it came up earlier, I think it was the first person who spoke this morning on introductions about raising fees. The academy members are well known for having higher fees in their community. And there's a good reason for that. It's not just because we say raise your fees. It's because through the hard work and training, they're providing extraordinary value to people in the community. And as all of you are providing that level of value, you're entitled to the fees because you are helping people. And Steve, I agree with the way you put that in that. And those who don't have as much, they need a proper estate planning even more so that they make sure they protect what they do have. So, okay.
And then also it was interesting that the VIP guest who said that he was worried that he was charging too much in fees. I just had to smile because at the academy, we find that almost all lawyers undervalue their services. And what we keep telling them over and over again, raise your fees. Okay, I can't do that. My market won't accept that. People won't pay that. Just do it. And then people come back and say, oh my God, they didn't even blink. They paid the fee that was worth the value I was delivering. So you don't need to worry about us getting to the point where we say that you're charging too much. It's almost never too much.
Yeah, it's all about value. Okay, let's move on to system 2, finance and operations management system, managing by the numbers and seamlessly making it all work. Managing by the numbers. So this is part of the business component of our law firms. We can't ignore this. This is a business. Okay, so in financial management, I'll go through a couple of different things and then we'll get into some very specific numbers in Academy processes. So you've got to have cash management. You've got to have internal controls. You need to know where to spend money or where to invest, and the difference between just spending money and investing money. We're always going to help you manage your firm finances to achieve your financial goals. Now, I'm going to go to this middle section, this internal controls, and once again talk about a reality that is happening in business all over the country. It's happening in your local communities, guaranteed 100%. And that's something called embezzlement. Now, probably not what you were expecting to hear today, but it is something that we have to talk about because unfortunately it happens. It happens more than you think. It also happens to different agencies, different businesses, to different government departments. A lot of times it's kept quiet, and it's kept quiet because people are embarrassed to talk about it and that it happened to them. Locally, there's so many local cases that there's too many to name, but the ones that jump out at me are one was, now, as I think of one, I think of another. The first one is that the FBI, local FBI, had embezzlement going on. Yeah, it was actually a paralegal in the FBI, had been embezzling for a number of years. And that, hit the papers. Another one was a local company, a local charity, big embezzlement over a period of 10 years. Take $100,000 a year. Nobody's seeing, nobody's watching. Next thing you know, it's $1 million down the road. Law firms, yeah, it happens to law firms. Yes, it happened to an Academy law firm. Give you a couple of little things to alert you to. It was a trust administration, and the law firm had obviously was doing the trust admin. Paralegal was in control of the file. Paralegal was someone who, was someone who everybody liked, and everyone had total trust in, but went ahead and forged documents, created other bank accounts with forged documents so that when money came in, that money could be deposited in the new bank account that was created, and then ultimately embezzled money from a large trust admin. And it was unfortunate. It did get caught. This was not kept quiet. They prosecuted, and the person did receive jail time. Probably not what you were thinking you were going to hear this morning. But
and that person was like a grandmother type, as Sandy said. Everyone trusted her, and they always wondered why she was so anxious to go and get the mail. She would go and get the mail, and checks that were coming in, she would forge the deposit slips and put them in different accounts. So we're saying this not to alarm you. We're saying this to tell you that you need to have some internal controls, and the Academy will help you do that.
And so, yeah, we're going to help you build your business. We're going to bring up topics that may be uncomfortable at times, but we feel it's, our responsibility to bring things to members and help them manage their firms. And that's part of managing the firm. So internal controls. So keep that in mind. Okay, in the old days, a lot of people, they had a checkbook and they'd call the bank to find out how much money they had in the bank. Okay, obviously not the way to do business. But unfortunately, a lot of people are doing that. Now it may be, okay, I just keep checking my QuickBooks. But we want to help you have systems so what does my cash look like? This is just a simple form of saying, okay, how much money do I have in the bank? What are the future deposits I expect to have over the next 1 week, over the next month? What are my expenses that I know that I have? What are my payroll expenses? What are my accounts payable list? What are the dates things are going to be due? So just being able to have something and then looking at it on a regular basis. So you have a system. Again, that's just an example of with cash flow. Again, how does everything happen in terms of the money? Who gets the mail? Who checks the deposits? Who actually writes the checks? And then who signs the checks? Who has authority on electronic transfers? Who has the authority to do that? Is there a two-step process? Now, in a lot of smaller firms, you're doing everything. And we're going to talk to you about that because you don't need to be doing the accounting. That doesn't mean you aren't watching and in control of the money. But to be writing all the checks, that probably should be, not probably, it should be somebody else who's doing the counting, entering things into the account. Other people can do that at a lot less expense than you doing it. Can you sign the checks? Absolutely. That way you can keep your hand on everything that's going out. So there's ways to do it. We're going to be talking about that, individually from an efficiency standpoint to make sure that we get you doing the things you have to do, but not the things that others can do at a less expensive cost. Spending decisions, we're here to act as a sounding board. Certainly your practice building coach will be there. Certainly, Jennifer, Robert, me, we're all available to act as a sounding board on any spending decisions that are going to be coming up. We don't like people to be penny wise and pound foolish on equipment, on training for you and your team. You've got to give people the best tools. You've got to keep people trained. Things are changing, so you have to have training. And then what's an expense versus an investment? So being able to have somewhere else to turn as you're making those decisions, we're there to be that sounding board for you. Nowadays, there's a ton of accounting software. We urge you to make sure that you have your financial statements on a monthly basis. Financial statement is profit and loss statement, a balance sheet. If you're not familiar with those things, talk to us. We can give you some resources on how to learn a little bit about that. We like to make sure that you have an accountant, an outside accounting firm, or a CPA that can do your tax returns. Important things to keep in mind. We like to make sure you have a personal banker. Something else that we urge you to do as well as having a line of credit. And the time you ask the bank for a line of credit is when you don't need the money. See, banks are kind of funny. When you need the money, they don't want to give it to you. When you don't need the money, that's when they want to give it to you. Again, they're looking to have the safest loans, and when you're not under financial pressure and you don't need the money, that's when they're willing to do it. And it's usually a very low fee for getting a line of credit. You want to make sure you have your process for your accounts receivable, your payables, how deposits are made, who's in charge of payroll, what does your cash position look like, and what's your cash position report each week look like, so that you're doing some planning from a cash standpoint. And again, we can go through that with you. Now, this is one of the jewels of the Academy. It's the Academy Financial Database. This is a proprietary system for evaluating the Academy members' financial success. Let me tell you the background on this. Over 20 years ago, we said what we should do is collect the financial information from Academy firms, analyze it, feed it into a database so we can come out with benchmarks for every single thing in your law firm from a financial standpoint. Benchmarks on revenue, benchmarks on expenses. That's why we can tell you with confidence the percentage of revenue that should be spent on rent should be this. The percentage of revenue for marketing should be this, because we've collected this and continued to analyze it over the years and come up with the benchmarks. There isn't another database anywhere that has the accuracy of our financial database, because no one else is able to collect financial information from similarly situated law firms in the same business. There are a couple of studies out there that talk about benchmarks for law firms, but they don't break it down because they can't have the information. Now, we do this on a completely voluntary basis. Each year we ask members, volunteer, we show you the chart of accounts, we collect the information, we do all the analysis. It's voluntary. You're not required to give us your financial information. Now, it behooves you to do so for two reasons. One, we can help you analyze it, but also the only way you get access to the financial database information and meeting we have once a year, which is always at the spring event, is by giving us the financial information. That's your ticket to admission into the session where we go through this. And in the session, there are always firms that volunteer to be on the panel. They're usually 4 to 5 member firms that reveal their numbers. And they sit on the panel and we lead a discussion of going through questions for them, okay? And so as a first-year member, you get to attend regardless of submission. We always let you attend. So that's what the financial database is. Firms voluntarily supply their numbers. Everything's anonymous. The only time anybody knows whose numbers are whose is when someone goes on the panel, again, voluntarily, and reveals their numbers. So it's all anonymous, and then we have the panel to explain the results. Absolutely fabulous, fabulous tool. We'll tell you some of the benchmarks. For instance, revenue per employee. And by the way, the revenue per employee, this is the minimum. These are minimums here. So revenue per employee, we know at a minimum, $175,000 per person. Now, see, this helps us and gives us confidence to know when you, as a sole practitioner who has no employees, we can tell you here's when to get the first employee.
Yeah, it goes till about 3.
Whoever
With
that
some
is
breaks.
isn't muted. So that's how we know when to help you get your next employee. Revenue per attorney, minimum $500,000. If you have one attorney to firm, clearly $500,000. We have many solo practitioners bringing in significantly more than $500,000. Other benchmarks, retention of clients based upon meeting with prospects. We know that once you're properly trained, that you should be retaining 85 to 95% of the people who come in your office. And we'll talk about that in System 7 a little bit later. We'll give you the average transaction amount. We already know it's between $3,500 and $4,500. Client acquisition cost depends on your marketing, but we know what it should be. We calculate a lifetime value of a client. We also have owner's compensation. We know, based upon actual numbers, that the target benchmark for owner's compensation is going to be 40% of revenue. Now, we break that down, that 40%. 20% should be your salary that you're taking on a consistent basis, and another 20% in the profit as the business owner. You know, owner's comp is a combination of your salary for the work that you're doing and being compensated for the fact that you're the owner of the business. So there's an example of some of the Academy benchmarks. The Academy, as you will get to know, is all about tracking your results. Your practice building coach will help you with that. We've got all the tools for you to track everything. Number of prospects, number of client contacts, types of appointments, new client revenue, percent retained, daily receipts, number and type of referrals. So weekly tracking of everything, because without tracking, you're kind of shooting in the dark. You're playing blind. We want to make sure that you have the information so we can make adjustments. See, when things aren't going according to plan, there's two issues. It's either a bad plan or it's bad execution. And so we don't want to just throw away a plan. We want to know about the execution, and we find out about execution by knowing numbers. And that's why we will help you and hold you accountable to track. When we say you, it may be you if you're the sole practitioner. It may be you and other people on your team who are doing the tracking. Okay. Example of a financially successful firm. We look at over here in the diagram where we say, okay, how, where's the lead generation? Okay, seminars, client referrals, center of influence referrals, online prospects. All those people go into the top of the funnel, and then who comes out as a client? And that's going to be based upon the retention. Again, we manage by the numbers, and what we mean by that is if you look at the numbers here, if you have a goal of $450,000, we know that monthly revenue is going to be $37,500. The average fee, well, now we know how many people do we need to be in front of, how many appointments are we going to get from that. And by the way, when we do certain types of marketing, we know it's going to produce this number of prospects. This is the benchmark for those prospects turning into appointments. This is the percent that's going to cancel the appointments. Here's the number of actual meetings. Here's the benchmark for what you should be retaining. And now we know how many new clients we'll have per month. And we know what the average fee is going to be. So it's all a formula based upon, one, the financial database and the information that we have. And then we'll look at your individual situation to see, okay, well, what are you charging? And then we can start to pinpoint what's working and what's not working, and then take corrective action to get those things up to the benchmark. So that's an example of one item. Here's another one that looks at, okay, we have trust admin, probate, amendments, and restatements. Again, breaking it down by, okay, new client revenue, and this is existing client revenue, the existing client formula, so to speak, where your goal is to bring in this amount from existing clients. Well, what's the number look like? And there you can start to see it. For the year, 325 on a monthly basis, here's the amount. What's the average fee? How many do I need to be in front of? Now, some of it is a little random because, we can't speed up probates. But what we can do is tell you that after a certain number of years, and we did this in the beginning with Academy members, we told them that over time, as you continue to market and build the client database, it's going to take about 5 years for the probate or the trust admins to start coming in, because we know based upon age and statistics, people are going to be passing away. And if you follow the formula of staying in touch with clients, which we'll talk about in one of the other systems, they're going to come back to your firm and you're going to be able to retain those people. And at some point, trust administration revenue may equal or exceed new client revenue. And that's happened in a number of different firms, and you'll see those numbers in the financial database when it comes out for 2021. Huge amounts of money being made in trust administration. Okay, and again, here you can see by staying in touch with clients, having programs for clients, people are going to come back in because they change their mind, they change beneficiaries, sometimes they inherit money, sometimes they make more money, so plans change. Rarely does a plan stay exactly the same for the life of the plan. There's amendments and there's restatements that occur. That's just an idea of the formula itself. Some success factors that drive numbers: knowing your why. Got to know your why. We've talked about that. Having an A team, making sure that your team is aligned with your why and that people are performing at the level they need to be and not being afraid to make a change. We're not going to do a whole segment on making those changes, but those are the kind of things that we will help you with, and we have tools for helping you assess team members. Making sure you have your strategic planning calls on a yearly basis. I know people considering joining the Academy, you've had a strategic planning call already, and I would expect you found it extraordinarily valuable. Every member has one of those calls every year to lay out the blueprint for the coming year. Making sure you keep your practice building coaching calls. We have documented the fact that members who keep the calls on a regular basis and are held accountable by showing up, they are more successful. Another tool, annual marketing calendar. We come out each year with a marketing calendar to show you the best days to do workshops or webinars, the best days the days not to do them. You want to make sure you complete that every year. So for 2021, There are members working on their 2021 calendar right now, and there are some members who will have it completed by the beginning to mid-November. So they've got their plan in place. It creates the structure for activities. And then, of course, continuous personal development. Attending Academy events. We urge you, as an Academy member, we come out a year in advance on our dates for events. Attend every event, just absolute given. It's going to be your continuing education. It's going to be keeping your head in the right place and bring as many team members as possible. One of the benefits of this new environment, unfortunate environment of COVID that we're in, is doing online. More staff is coming to the events because there's no travel involved. We urge you, when we get back to in person, which we'll do, that you bring as many staff as possible, because the events themselves, obviously we have the content that you're getting to see, but then it's in between the sessions, the breaks, talking to other people. That kind of discussion is invaluable. Then, of course, we have our standard cocktail party and dinner on every Thursday evening, which is like, a huge group of people getting together again. And it's like a family reunion. It's just absolutely fabulous and remarkable. And it's social, but it's also a lot of things about what's going on in the business. So personal development, very important. Attending Academy events, extremely important. And so now we're going to move into system number 3, a systems approach to leadership, creating a vibrant firm culture. And what we're going to do to start this segment off is we're going to watch a short video. It'll be in the chat, Colin Powell. And let's take a look at that video, then we'll come back and we'll talk about it a little bit. Okay, so on Colin Powell, where he talked about conditions of trust, and that you'll know that you're leading when people will follow you, even if only out of curiosity. Kind of amusing, but conditions of trust, that's the name of the game. And I've always found that, one very simple thing that instills trust, and this applies to you as a leader, it applies to your whole law firm. And it's something that we at the Academy, we talk about a lot, and it's real simple. It's that do what you say you're going to do. Do what you say you're going to do. And we build that into a lot of the systems so that if you execute the system properly, that way you will be doing what you said you were going to do. A small thing, which is not, it's a small thing, but it's not really a small thing in the big picture. And that is showing up on time, starting on time. And we're sticklers about that. And, over the years, Robert and I have had lots of meetings with lots of people. Some are face-to-face, some have been over the phone. Now it's more over Zoom. And we show up on time. And it's always amazing to us how people don't show up on time. And there was one particular incident where that happened. And when the person came on the line, they had the most fantastical story that they gave us as to why they were late. And we've never forgotten that. And what was also amazing about that incident is that when that happened, after they told the story, like as if that was a good excuse, they never said, hey, sorry about being late. But, so it has an impact on people. And so doing what you say you're going to do, there's going to be a lot of opportunity with prospects and clients for you to build that level of trust, and it's built into the system. So that's the foundation, that's beginning of talking about leadership and creating the culture that you want to have in your business. Now, there's another concept that we like to talk about, and that is, what is the future you're living into? Also known as the created future. What is the future that you're creating? And the opposite side of that is, well, what's likely to happen if nothing unexpected comes along? See, every one of us, all of us, we've made it to where we are. Maybe some have created this future, but there's something called the default future. And that is, hey, life goes on. Even if you've never really taken the steps to create your future, well, you've wound up, not so bad off. You've gone to law school, you've become a paralegal, you're working at a law firm, or you have your own law firm. So the default future may get you pretty far down the road, but there is another option, and that is to actually actively, intentionally create your future. But there's a lot of default futures going on out there. Every person, every organization, it has a default future. It's going to continue or possibly fail, which would be its default future. So if nothing happens, there is a probable, almost certain future that is awaiting for you and your law firm. But the real issue is, okay, well, what do I really want? And how do I go about creating that future? Well, part of it is to align and start thinking about it, and then taking intentional actions, and in this instance, obviously we've got a blueprint that lays out, here's the blueprint to actually follow. So that opportunity is there as well. So we believe that you've got the power to create that future that you want to have and be the inspired leader in your organization. What do you want family life to look like? And we talk to lots of attorneys over the years and talk about, well, I haven't had a vacation in fill in the blank, or I took a vacation, it was only 5 days. Something to think about. What type of practice do you currently have? What do you actually want to have? What are the relationships you have look like, both inside the business and outside of the business? Is there some component where you want to be able to contribute to the community? And we talked about that a little bit earlier. Being a profitable business puts you in a position to make a greater contribution. What about health? Sometimes that gets overlooked and health gets sacrificed for the business. And, we don't believe in that. We don't believe in sacrificing your health for anything. But the question is, what are you doing about your health? How important is that to you? And then how consistent are your actions with the level of importance that you place on health? How much time do you actually devote to health? And then sometimes people get some type of a health scare, and that prompts them into action. But do they stay in action on it? Does it remain a priority, or does it fade? We don't shy away from that, and the personal aspect and the importance of, how you operate personally impacting how you operate the business and inside the business. And then again, we come back to your team, your staff. How committed are they to the values and finding the right people to align with the why that you have? And then ultimately becoming the dominant law firm in your community. These are the things that we want to discuss. These are the things that we want you to be thinking about. And then we can help you as you decide, here's what I want it to look like, where we go back to where we started, which were the 3 steps: primary aim, strategic objective, organizational strategy. Those 3 steps will take you wherever it is you want to go. Now, key is going to be accountability. Accountability is sort of the secret, it's the magic, and being held accountable to doing what you said you were going to do. And again, the role of the practice building coach is to hold you accountable. You just have to show up. We'll be asking the questions to make sure that you get there. There's a great quote by Peter Drucker that, practicing law is a team sport. It's not just you. Again, if you're a sole practitioner, it is just you right now. And if you have a family, well, they're part of your team that should understand exactly what you're doing. We always encourage spouses to come to events to understand what it is that you're doing. And then, of course, if you're not a sole practitioner, you have team members, they've got to be on board as well. And then ultimately his line is that culture eats strategy for breakfast. See, that's why leadership's so important. That's why the why is so important, because you have to create the culture, live the culture, demonstrate the culture. That's going to carry you way down the road. Now, we'll give you strategies, and I like the guest who was talking about, I want to have both strategy and tactics. great. We're talking about strategy and we're talking about tactics as well. And we'll talk about some very tactical things coming up in some of the other systems. So the thing to realize is, and kind of ask yourself this question, have you ever experienced a situation where you had something new, you assembled your team and you brought it to the team and it was kind of received with total resistance, total indifference, and almost a feeling like everybody else except you was going, I've got other things to do, not another new idea, okay? That happens. And it happens when you don't have a combination of things can cause that to happen, is not having a strategic plan and following it, and or having people who are not aligned with that. But we're going to help you create the plan so that you make sure that you've got the right plan, and we'll help you with the right people. Now, this was kind of a sobering statistic that we ran across, where it says 74% of Americans find their jobs boring. So let's look at the numbers here. 67% of people working in financial services, boring. 45% in research and development, boring. And then 81% of people in the legal industry report boredom at the office. Okay, so what does that mean? Chances are some of your team members are completely bored and it's not really the job they want to be in. Again, one of those things that we're not going to shy away from this, because we just know that really the team, it's the backbone of your business, and you've got to pay attention to it. You've got to face the reality of what's going on there, and then examine all team members to make sure that they are on board. And it's okay that once you figure out your why and you're clear about your mission and your purpose, communicating that with the team is essential. And that will do two things. It will attract certain people to that, and they'll stay in the business, and it can repel other people, which is okay. Repelling people who aren't aligned with what is your true purpose and vision is what you want to do, and you want to do it sooner rather than later. Because although in the short term it might be painful replacing someone, it's going to pay huge dividends down the road, and it isn't something that you can ignore. So nothing we do will have any value unless you engage your team, enroll them in the vision and what's possible in the firm. And if they're not to be engaged and they're to be repelled, it's almost better. Now we don't have to have somebody who's got their foot on the brake, somebody who is resisting at every turn. And this is in theory, this is real world, in the trenches, practice. We know what goes on. And we've been in business for a long time, both in law firm and the academy. And we know when people are no longer engaged. You kind of recognize it, and then you want to go, oh, I don't want to have to hire somebody. Oh, I just went through it. Oh, it's not a good time. I've still yet to find out or find a good time to make a change. There's no time of year where you go, oh yeah, well, the month of September is a good time. Or this month. There's no good time. There's never a good time. You just have to make the decision, have a plan in place, and then go ahead and make the changes. Okay, next topic. Something called identifying your unique abilities. Things you love doing. Things that create energy rather than drain it. Things where you produce superior results. You wake up in the morning and you know your day's filled with these activities and you get excited about it. See, this whole concept is one for you as the leader to be able to start looking and identifying, here are the things that are my unique abilities, are my strengths, and that I want to engage an overwhelming majority of the time in these activities and delegate the rest. And then being able to do that to some degree with everybody on your team and finding the right people for the right seats on which is your bus. So it's important to do that. Now, there is a way to actually mechanically start to figure that out. And it starts by actually keeping a time log. Because a lot of people don't realize, well, where'd the day go? What did I spend my time on? And so we actually have a time log. It's an exercise where you'll start to keep track over a 5 to 10 day work period where you'll track everything that you do. And then ultimately when you do that, you'll then rank things. Okay, what are the things that I'm doing that I'm actually not competent at? I'm incompetent. Which are the things that I'm competent at? Which are the things that I'm really excellent at this? And then which are the things that not only am I excellent, I actually love doing this stuff. That's your unique ability. And as you do that, then you can start to analyze it and say, okay, well, the first thing I got to get rid of are all the things that I'm incompetent at. And even for sole practitioners, you should do this because you want to have the roadmap to figure out, okay, what are the first things I need to delegate? Well, all the things that you're not good at. I'll use accounting as an example. Somebody say, well, I'm going to do it. And the analysis goes something like this. Well, there's no one else to do it. I don't want to pay anyone to do it. And well, I can do it on nights and weekends. Okay. All those are bad moves for lots of different reasons. But then the other thing that happens is, I don't really like doing it, and it gets put off. And then you don't do it. And then a week goes by, a month goes by, 2 months goes by. Next thing you know, you got 6 months, you have no financials. Things haven't been done. All you've been doing is the old checkbook. Okay, we got money, pay the bills, pay the bill. You know, we've watched this happen. So that's why going through the time log, no matter what your circumstance is important. Sole practitioner, or if you've got other team members, you all need to do this. So you can start to will down and zero in on unique abilities. So that ultimately you make the decision. And this is an example of a member who they realize their unique abilities are they love doing presentations, whether it's live or webinars. They love doing the strategy and the strategic thinking. They love doing the personal consultations, meeting with prospects and clients. Other than those 3 activities, they really don't like everything else. So they make sure they delegate everything else. The document creation, the signing ceremony, doing the bookkeeping, supplies, bank, still having checks and balances anytime it comes to the money, but making sure that you identify, here are the things I want to do and here are the things others can do instead of me doing it. That's delegation. And then each person on your team doing the same thing. What are their highest and best use? What are their unique abilities? And we even have tools to help you in that regard, not just the time log, but we have testing done, Colby, Strength Finders, and the Profile XT. We have benchmark Profile XTs where when you're going to hire someone or you're trying to identify, is this the right person for the position in the firm? We have the benchmarks for every position in the law firm. These tests have been taken by those who are excellent in their position. We've compiled those things. It's much like the financial database. Well, this is for the qualities and the characteristics of an individual for the position in the firm, both on the evaluation side, as well as if you're going to be making a replacement and who do you hire. And this is part of the hiring system, is to have people take the tests and then they either hit the benchmarks or they don't. You don't want to fall in love with a candidate too early, and you don't want to fall in love before they take the tests, because the tests will knock people out, and you don't want to hire against the test. When the test says they're not qualified for this position, don't hire. Now, we say that. Members have done that, and some members have been very courageous about coming back to us and telling us, you know what, I hired against the test. I thought it was going to work out. I really did. My gut told me it was the right person, but didn't work out. And, we appreciate that feedback, and it was courageous to admit that they did hire against the test, but it didn't work out. So again, another system that we have to make sure that you're going to use it. So again, having your staff do all the same things in terms of unique abilities, that opportunity is there as well. Now, we're going to watch another video. It's a fabulous video. This guy, Marcus Buckingham, talking about unique abilities, talking about your strengths. Unique abilities and strengths are the same thing. So he's going to talk about that, and you'll get a feel and see the impact of this in the workplace. All right, so very powerful discussion by Marcus Buckingham on the fact that, this isn't just to make people happy, although it may make you more happy. It's about driving productivity. And it's been proven that when you and your team are working in your strengths, your unique abilities, productivity skyrockets, performance skyrockets. It was an interesting stat where he said, okay, when they did the survey, most people are doing it, 73% are at the once per week. And there's only 12% who are doing it most of the time, or all the time was only 12%. We may not be able to work in our unique abilities 100% of the time, but we certainly want to be at the high end of that range. And it's going to be beneficial to you, to the team, and to the business itself when you're at the high end of that. And so figuring that out is going to require some effort, some following the system, tracking what's done over a 2-week period, looking at that, and then seeing, can we do this first for yourself and then for others on the team? What is the unique abilities that you have, the things you love, the presentation, strategic thinking, consultations. Other people love bookkeeping, orders, bank deposits, all that kind of technical stuff. There are others, many, they love doing the document creation. They love using the software. And there are others that are built for running that signing meeting and creating that relationship. So again, it's just another system that is available to use, all towards making the business more productive. Okay, that's it on unique abilities. Now, the next topic, and again, all this is under this banner of leading the team. And there's a lot of different components to it. And these are sort of like subsystems within that big system. Now, this other concept is, what's the client's law firm experience? And just think about it, with yourself. When you deal with any business, what's the experience you're having with that business? Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's kind of average. Sometimes it might just be rotten. What's the experience that prospects and clients are having with your law firm itself? How do they perceive your firm? Is it just a commodity? They just want documents. Where can they get them cheap? Easily replaceable. They're not looking for a relationship. Guess what? Not the client for your firm. The other thing that you've got to realize, as you firmly establish your why, who your firm is, what's the culture, you're also looking at your ideal client and saying, okay, not everybody is the ideal client. Somebody who says, oh, I want to have the cheapest documents available, your response, we're probably not the firm for you. And see what they say. Again, you just want to be clear about who you're looking for, what you're doing, believe in it, and then not make the exceptions for those who are really not looking for the relationship, because that's what you're looking for, is someone who's looking for the trusted advisor. They're looking for guidance. They're going to act on your advice. Ultimately, they're not going to leave because you've developed a relationship with them. That's what we started talking about earlier, is you're really in that business. Now, every person out there isn't looking for that, and that's okay. They're just not for us. And what we've been able to do is really put together what we call the transformational audit, and really looking through the client's eyes at every interaction that they have with the entire law firm, and looking at it carefully, and then being able to make adjustments. What is the consultation like? Or excuse me, really, we start with what is the marketing like? How is that perceived by people? The marketing itself. What happens when they do sign up or call to come to an event? What's that experience like with the receptionist in the office? And I'll just digress here for just a moment on the receptionist. It's one of the most important positions in the entire law firm. Sometimes people talk about that as like, a starter position. You want your best people talking to prospects, not someone who's new and doesn't know anything. Our take on that is it's an extraordinarily important position. Someone who loves doing that, it is their unique ability. Then moving on, what's the consultation like? What's that experience like? We try, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, we try to make that experience like extraordinarily low stress, completely comfortable, where you're perceived as an advisor, helping guide them through a maze of decisions and making it easy on people and for them to make decisions. So we'll talk about that. But what's that experience like? What's the office like itself? What is your follow through? Follow through, do you and everyone in the firm, does everyone do what they say they're going to do? As you go and get familiar with our system, we set things up so that you are able to do what you say you're going to do. We tell them everything that's going to happen, and then it happens exactly the way you say. There's a blueprint for it. What's the referral experience? Are you getting referrals from clients? If you're not, there's a reason. One, you're not asking, you're not planting the seeds for that. Or two, they're not that happy with what's going on, so they're a little uncomfortable referring. What happens after the transaction? What happens after the estate plan is done? And that's the lifetime communication system, which we are huge on making sure you have that implemented. That goes back to something we talked about earlier today already, the marketing calendar. And the marketing calendar doesn't include just marketing for new clients. It includes the marketing and the staying in touch with existing clients. And you'll remember the two funnels we talked about, new client funnel, existing client funnel. So again, it's a system for it. There's a blueprint to follow, and we can help you go through this transformational audit so that you see, well, how's the firm doing? Again, Robert mentioned this earlier, and it'll come up a little bit later, is that, a lot of people look at legal services, it's just a commodity. Everybody's worried about LegalZoom. Oh, okay, we can just do it over the internet and this and that. And there's other ones out there as well. We're not about the documents. We're about making sure that there's a relationship. And so, again, many people look at legal services, oh, it's just a commodity. I can just go get a will or a trust. Not who we're looking for. And a lot of that work can wind up in our office anyway. You've got LegalZoom, you've got Brockett Lawyer, there's other ones out there. What we're doing is looking at this as much more than just documents. It's the relationship, but then it's also what's the experience with the firm. And a way to think of it is to almost as if it's a theatrical experience. Theatrical in the sense is that you're looking at what's happening with the clients, what's their experience with the clients, and then there's things that happen in the back room, so to speak, that the clients really have no interaction with. So it's like a front stage and the backstage that you would see at a theater. When you're in the audience, you're seeing the front stage. You're not seeing anything in the backstage. That's irrelevant. Same thing in the law firm. That's not what's important to the client. It's what's happening out front. And so looking at it that way, well, what's the show that's playing? What's the movie in the mind of the client? And we know every prospect, they have a movie playing in their mind of what's going to happen at this law firm. They have some movie, whether it's right or wrong, they've got some movie there. We want to make sure that we meet or exceed the expectations that they have of what it's going to be like with this law firm. And even if they have an expectation that is not what we do, that through education and the experience, they're going to now realize, oh, this is actually what we want. I didn't even know I wanted this, but this feels good. This feels right. And that's what we want you to start thinking about. And we'll lead you through that, where you as basically are the director of this experience, along with others in your firm, and designing the overall client experience itself. Now, there's another video that, well, I don't know what just, okay. There's another video in the chat that we're going to watch. It's one of our favorites, certainly mine. And it talks about the experience and the expectation that a client has of what's going to happen in the law firm when they show up. So let's go to the chat and we can watch this video. So I don't know that we could have scripted anything better other than the foul language getting out of there, but to illustrate the point. And of course, having Ed Asner play the client, who better than being a grumpy guy who got offended by JR or Joel Reynolds clothing. Some favorite lines for me was that, hey, well, it's casual Friday. He goes, yeah, but you're not at home. And then of course, go wrangle somebody else. So I don't know that it's going to be that dramatic, but from our standpoint, there is a movie playing and we want to meet or exceed those expectations. And over the years, Robert and I have been asked about dress code. And we've been very clear because we know, things have changed and maybe there is more casual, and even you see big law firms dressing more casual. For us, our feeling is that that you want to dress professionally all the time. Tie and jacket. You don't necessarily have to wear the tie all the time. For ladies, wearing the appropriate suits as well. And we believe that's what clients are looking for. That's our opinion. We've had the one exception comes from the state of Hawaii, where they assure us nobody wears tie and jacket there. It's really just Hawaiian shirts is the standard, even in law firms. So, we're not completely inflexible. So something to keep in mind as to what is the expectation. So what we enable you to do is go through the law firm transformational audit. We have found, based upon experience, that you have a special meeting, a special team meeting, a staff meeting, where this is the topic. And it's actually one of the most fun meetings because the team gets very engaged. Everyone participates, and you literally catalog, here's the way we do things. And we have a form that we can give you to organize all this, where this is how we do each of these items. What is the possibility of doing it a different way? And then you decide on that. And then who's the person who's the champion for that? So you catalog the current practice, assess whether it's working. What can we do to, transform this? Kind of green light thinking that anything's possible. Then we create the new item. We give it a by when date. When is it going to be done? Who's the champion? And then you can revisit all of it and see what happens. And we've got examples for each area, things that members have done. One that comes to mind is where they literally bake cookies every day fresh in the office. So when clients come in, they literally can smell the fresh baking going on, the fresh cookies. Clients absolutely love it. Just creates a wonderful atmosphere. And again, we've got all the forms, we've got examples of lots of different things. I think at one point we even got the type of machine that you have to have in the office that bakes the cookies nicely. So we try to help you out as much as you can. Here's an example of the form itself. Okay, so that's the transformational audit. That's the last concept under this system 3 of leadership and building the culture. Culture is going to eat strategy for breakfast all day long. And you want to make sure that you lead the way with creating that culture. First you leading, then others who are jumping on board and helping lead and continue the culture in the firm itself. So that is system 3.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great lunch, whatever time it is in your area. We've got a real special treat for you right now. You remember earlier today we talked about the value and importance of having a motivating why you do this business, not just to make money, not just to put food on the table or anything like that, but an underlying kind of passion and a why that you do what you do. And some of you may have thought this is kind of abstract and couldn't get your head around what your why might be. So what we've done today is brought on one of my favorite people in the world, Melanie Lee, who is an attorney in Richmond, Virginia, and she's got an extraordinary why, and we'd like for her to share it with us. Melanie.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much. I was going to say I was one of your favorite people just in the academy, Robert. Just ask me. I will share that. It is a pleasure to share with you that. I will share how we share our why. And I will also talk just kind of really quickly, I won't take up too much time, on how we use it in the practice. And normally I start all of my seminars by, sharing the day I say that estate planning changed my life. I share that I was standing at a condo in College Park, Maryland. I know everyone on this call is from all over the country, but for those who are on the Eastern Seaboard, know that College Park, Maryland's proximity to Richmond, Virginia, where I grew up, and I say, obviously I'm often talking in Richmond, Virginia, where I now practice. And I will say, of course, who knows that proximity. And I tell the story about receiving a phone call from my mother. So I'll just share that story with you. I was standing at a condo in College Park, Maryland, and my phone rang. I looked at my phone and I put it away. It rang again. I looked at it and put it away. It rang a third time, as I tell my clients, but this time I picked it up and I started talking really, really fast. And I saw it was my mother, and I started explaining to her, Mom, it's going to be great. I'm staying in here at this condo. I tell my clients that, of course, I went to law school because I wanted to help people. But then after graduating from law school, I got an offer at a large law firm in the DC area. And I always like to share that I looked at that piece of paper and saw what this firm in DC was going to pay me to do what they call mergers and acquisitions work. And so I looked at that piece of paper and I said, well, I know I went to law school to help people, but I'm gonna help these people mergers and acquisitions first. And so I took that job at that law firm in DC, and I was buying this condo in College Park, Maryland. Now, for those of you who are familiar with where College Park, Maryland sits from Richmond, I also share with them that when I got that call and explained to my mom, I thought she was calling because she had this sixth sense, like she knew I was gonna do something stupid, like buy this condo before my first day working. So I started explaining to her, Mom, it's gonna be great. My sister's here, we're gonna buy this condo together. But when I got quiet, instead of screaming and yelling at me, my mother said something to me that changed my life forever. She said, Melanie, your father's asking for you. Now, at the time, my dad had been sick but gotten well, but was actually working in the same building I practice law in to this day. But when she said, your father's asking for you, my sister and I knew exactly what she meant. We left that condo in College Park, Maryland, and we were standing bedside to my father in about an hour and 50 minutes flat. Now, for those of you who know where Richmond, Virginia is, and I see some folks, I see Angela out there who know where College Park, Maryland is, we were going Angel Highway, right? You can't make that drive in a normal world in an hour and 50 minutes. So I always share two things with my clients about that night. The first thing I tell them is that my sister was driving. It's true. My sister was driving. And the second thing I share with them is that when this happened in my family, I was already an attorney. I had been to law school and taken what we call in law school decedents of states and trust. But here I stood bedside to my father. And I remember it like it was yesterday. My father was in the bed. My mother was on one side. My sister was on the other. My pastor showed up. And it became real clear to me what was about to happen. That when I left that hospital room, my life would no longer be the same. I now tell clients that it is now, I do understand what mergers and acquisitions means, that I could have made a lot of money helping people who already had money make more money. But now I have made it my business and I have made it my passion to tell people that your estate matters. The things that we're going to talk about as we work together are important to those you love, and they're important to those who love you. And at this point, I also share with them that now I realize, having helped thousands of families through this process called estate planning, that most people don't have an oldest daughter that's an attorney that can kind of just drop everything and learn another practice of the law and help them through this process. And so I share with them that we take that role for our clients of being the oldest daughter. I know that you all are in boot camp and you're looking at how to use your why. So our academy book that we wrote, we even entitled it Essentials to Planning Your Legacy, Estate Planning Advice from Your Oldest Daughter. And we share that message. You can go to my website. We have a brand video where I remind clients of the story that we have. And I even share with them that my sister Norma is kind of the heartbeat of our practice in a lot of ways, the heart of our practice, because she was a part of that story from day one. And so my why is on there, how we work with clients. You'll see some testimonies from some of our clients. And so we really do try to take that role for our clients and remind the staff. The other really important way we use the why in our practice, and for me, this is more important, and I'll share this with you as prospective members. This is more important to me than the fact that we use it for clients. I used to think it was important just that we told clients this, but I'm also a member of the Peak Performers Program through the Academy, where we get coaching on using our why and really trying to build a world-class team. And I've found that our why is more important for team members. It draws in the right people to work with me, because I'm looking for people. If I could run the practice by myself and clone myself, I have tried. I would, but I can't. I need a team to help me. And that's a lot of the coaching that I'm working on, is how do I build this team? But for me, it starts with the why. People that want to join a place where they can help serve the oldest daughter. If they want somewhere they can barely touch with people, they're not in the right place. That's all I'll share.
Wow, that's great, Melanie. And what I'd like you to share, if you would, is how you explaining your why in the kind of emotional and eloquent way that you did. When people come to a seminar or they're on a webinar and they're there probably to find out information on how to create a trust or a will and navigate probate and all of those sorts of things. And then they hear this truly emotional story. What does it do to the tenor of the conversations that follow?
Grace, I think the first thing it does is that a lot of times when people interface, we have to remember, the general populace, they have a way they see us. We have all these realities, as we learn about in the academy. We have all these realities in the room when we deal with people. And people typically have a way they view lawyers. I think when we start our live seminars, and now we do all webinar and virtual events, we don't do anything live here in Virginia. Other people are braver, I'm not. And so we do all of our events virtually. People have a way they want to interface. And so they stop, and it makes them see me as a person, see the firm as a group of people. People will even say to us, I have clients I'll meet with years later, and they will remember our story. They don't remember, everything that's in their trust. They don't remember anything else. In fact, today I had a review meeting. So the good thing about a good client is they're like, they keep on giving. So I had a client, we did their work back in 2011. They met with us today. We're doing our planning all over again, basically. And they remembered my story. And our question was, how's your mother doing? And I just shared with them, my mom's passed. This is going on in my life. But they remembered that first. They remember my sister. And so it helps them. We ask people to open up to help them to plan their estate. They open up to us in a way that is almost, uncanny. Someone you rarely know, and you're telling them about all the concerns with your family and your children. And so I think it humanizes us for them to understand why we do this.
Yeah, boy, I'll bet it does. And you've been doing that for quite some time now. And just the idea of taking you out of the professional role, not discarding it, but bringing you forward as a person with a real problem in your life, and how you dealt with it, and how you're taking that issue and then transferring it to them and saying, and we can do the same for you. It's remarkable. Love that. Anybody else have any questions for Melanie and about her why? Sandy, anything you want to add?
Only that Melanie is fabulous. And every time you start talking, I'm listening carefully, just engrossed in your story, even when I've heard the story before. So, you're fabulous.
Never gets old.
Yeah.
Okay, Melanie, thank you so much.
Absolutely. I just want to say hi. I see so many familiar names. I just want to say hi to everybody.
Okay,
Wow.
thank you. Okay, now maybe this second try is going to be the charm here, Sarah.
Yep. We
Okay.
are, you should have access after you click on the slide.
Okay. Okay, I clicked, I'm waiting, and then,
Just
nope.
takes a few moments. Hope everyone had a good lunch. And there we go.
There we go. Okay. So we're now at system 4. We did 1, 2, and 3. And what we have to do this afternoon, before we leave this afternoon, we want to get through system 4, system 5, and system 6. Then we'll start tomorrow, starting off with system 7. So you're going to hear a lot from me, probably more than you ever wanted to, because some of these modules are fairly large. But let's start with that system 4, staff accountability and team building system. Many of the things that Sandy had mentioned in the last module about the leadership is going to flow over into building a team. And it's like putting the right people with the right skills in the right positions. And that's what we want for you. Even if you don't have any staff at this time, building the team is something that you'll really want to pay a lot of attention to. So having a business, not a job, a true business, you know, I'm sure you understand this, it only exists when revenue comes in, even when you are not there. Your practice must leverage the work of others. And so those of you that are, I heard the comment this morning, I'm a true solo, I'm a solo, and that's fine. But unless you can leverage the work of others, you are going to have a job. And it's not bad to have a job, but it's not a business. And so while you may start out alone, you want to be looking forward to the first hire that you make so that you can do what you do best, as we said before, and then delegate the rest. So many of our members in the Academy take long vacations, only work 4 days, some only work 3 days, and the money just keeps coming in. And it comes in because they've got systems and they've got a business. So let's create the distinction between a system or a people-dependent practice. So a people-dependent practice, and this is the way most businesses are, most law firms for sure, a people-dependent practice is personality and skills rule the day. So you've got people who are fabulous personality or they got great skills, and they are the ones that are running the practice. And it's very important for you to make sure those people are happy because they've got a corner on your practice. And if a departing staff member, person leaves the firm, they will, in a people-dependent firm, they will take the knowledge with them. I mean, many of you may have experienced that. You know, someone gets pregnant and they leave the firm and they want to decide to stay home with the child, or they get a job and they move across the country and they leave. And if it's not a system practice, then every piece of knowledge and wisdom that they have about your law firm goes out the door with them. And the new staff, the people you hire to replace that person, they have no blueprint because that person has already left. And any of you who have attempted to hire somebody within the 2-week, if you're lucky, the 2-week notice that you get that the person's leaving, know how impossible that is. Because now you have to get an ad, you have to put it out there, you have to interview people, all of those things. And by the time the person comes on board, that 2 weeks is up and that person has left. So now you've got a big hole in your practice with no blueprint or no systematic way to tell that new person how to do their job. And of course, if you've got somebody who's really important to the practice, and that person gets a sense of that themselves, they can hold you hostage. And we've seen many cases where people say, I'm going to leave unless I get a substantial raise. Now, we don't have any problem with paying people competitive wages. In fact, you always should. But the idea of being held hostage by an employee and a staff person is never a good place to be. So that's a people-dependent practice. And let me just assert that most people have that as their standard practice. The Academy, we have something completely different. We are system dependent. And that means there's a, as Sandy mentioned earlier, a firm-wide organizational chart. Even if your name is in every single box, at least you know what the functions are in the firm and exactly who is going to fill that. And the idea of growing your firm is to get your name out of boxes and put somebody else's name in there. There's a position contract for each function. So a receptionist would be able to start on her first day and know exactly how to do her job. Every detail of being a receptionist, every detail about being a document production person, every detail about being a final signing paralegal. All of those things are contained in something called a position contract. Now, even better than that, under our new software, we've got a whole section called a workflow. And the workflow is a step-by-step for every single function in the firm of how somebody should do that. So if somebody left tomorrow, the new person would come in and they'd say, oh, this is how I do my job. I see I need to do this, and this is how you do it. So this is a position contract or a workflow in the software. We also have in a system run practice, a current operations manual that explains everything about the firm, how it operates in every department. And then the last thing is the part that I like best. It's when you have conversations with your team, you don't have a conversation about failures of people. You have conversations about failures of systems. So for example, if something goes wrong in your firm and you go up to the person who perhaps created the problem, and now you're starting to play the blame game because it's a people-dependent practice, so that's the only person you can blame, is that person who did something. That's usually met with resistance, hostility, resentment, and all of that. But if you have a system-dependent practice, all of the problems that exist are systems problems. And now you can come to the person and say, hey, I think we've got a system problem here. Can I enroll you in helping us figure out how to fix this issue? Because I know it's a systems problem. Well, now you've got a collaborator. Now you've got somebody who's willing to work with you to make the system even better. So it's a massive distinction between having a system practice and a people-dependent practice. So you want to ask, where are you in your firm? Do you have a systems practice or a people-dependent one? And if you have a people-dependent one, well, then you're in the right place, because we'll show you how to make that a system-dependent practice. So what if everything you thought about customer service was wrong? I thought this was about employees and accountability and team building. Well, it is. But what we want to do is show you a video that really blew Sandy and me away when we first saw it, because it upsets everything, all the standard beliefs about customer service, and it directly relates to building a team. So Danny Meyer, many of you may have heard of him, some of you may not have heard of him, but Danny Meyer is a restaurateur, and he's one of the top restaurateurs in the country, owns amazing restaurants in New York City that are constantly recommended as the top. Gee, I guess we're going to the video. They're rated as the top restaurants, and he also is the founder and owner of a small company called Shake Shack that you may have heard of. It's all around the country. Well, he has some remarkable words to say about what it means to have a relationship with your team and the team's relationships with the customers or clients. So we probably have the link, do we not, Sarah, in the chat?
Yes, the link is in the chat, and
Okay.
everyone will have 7 minutes to watch the video.
Perfect, thank you. You know, this was such an extraordinary video for Sandy and me and the Peak Performer program. I wanted to get the reactions of everyone here, not everyone, but those who want to share, as to what you got out of that as you look at your firm, your team, and your customers' clients. Anybody want to share?
I don't mind sharing. I'm actually coming into this industry from a background in restaurant management. And I have been around and worked as a support person in the legal field before, but it's been over a decade since I was. However, the video that we just watched resonated with me for a number of reasons. I was actually part of a team that was kind of the neighborhood favorite restaurant in Marin County here for over 2 years. And that was long enough in a restaurant where most of our customers came 2 to 3 nights a week to know our customer base extraordinarily well. And I was actually on board there when our owner passed away of esophageal cancer. And his estate was not in order. And you know, the community rallied around to try to support his family and the people who were put in charge of settling out the estate to try to grace his memory. But what I took away from that experience, other than an awareness that I kind of already had that preparing for these inevitable things is really crucial, was he was an expert at, perhaps not in leaving his affairs in order, but in creating a sense of community, in being the neighborhood favorite, in knowing the details about his customers that so few other people took the time to pay attention to, in creating a welcoming environment where people of so many different standings and generations looked forward to coming, and where they wanted to spend all of their special events, and making it so much more than food and wine. It was a part of people's lives.
That's great. I'm glad you shared that. The two things that jumped out at me from what you said and what's in the movie is that the whole idea of a favorite, that this was, he said, this is not necessarily the best restaurant with the finest cuisine, the finest service, but altogether it was their favorite. And you can't ever kind of objectify favorite. It's your favorite or it's not. And he was working on, and just like you're the restaurateur that you're talking about, they were both in the relationship business, weren't they? I mean, that was what was important to them. Food was just the vehicle that they developed those relationships. So very good. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else have any comments about the video? Yes, Leanne.
I really appreciated the focus on hiring staff that have 51%. The hospitality, it's more about their personality than their skills. And when we have the system in place and we can train our employees, especially through the academy, which is incredible, it feels easier, I think. And I don't have a team yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I feel like once you can get those systems in place and you have confidence in what you're training your staff to do, you can choose the employees that have that personality that gel with you and your firm and your mission, without the anxiety of can they perform, because you go through these processes in your hiring and knowing they can perform, but what is their personality like and are they going to send my message? So I saw that when in the videos of his staff, they all seem comfortable, and I guess it's the idea is that they know exactly what their function is so that they can focus on, being that hospitable person that the firm needs. I thought that was cool.
Well, that's a great observation. So that If you have a systems-based practice, you know that you can train the people to do the mechanics of the job, but you can't train somebody to have that kind of customer service mentality. And the reason that we wanted to show that to you is we wanted you to take away from this that that's what you want to do. When you have a vision of what your firm could be, you want to have people who are naturally aligned with that vision. The whole idea of whether they can create documents or whether they can be in a final signing or whether they can do a variety of things is secondary to the qualities that the person has. Any other comments before we move on? Sandy, anything you want to add? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll I'll offer something because some of the earlier comments that he made were related to not he was pointing out that it's not his customers but it's his work staff, and it was almost like building the team environment and maybe the family environment, and the positive customer and the positive customer experience, the positive service, if you will, was almost a byproduct of that, so that it sort of spilled over into a really positive emotional experience and welcoming experience for the customer. So it just emphasizes the fact of importance of team, how important team is.
So important, so that it isn't the customer's always right, the client's always right. You get to a delighted client when you have a team that knows the mission. And that's one of the things that separates it about being turning everything you knew about customer service on its head. Thanks a whole lot, Raymond. Sandy, anything you want to add?
You know, we've watched that so many times, and at different times, different things strike me. This time it was the way he said collecting the dots so you're able to start connecting the dots. And the collecting dots, it's paying attention to each individual and being fully engaged so that you can collect dots and then subsequently connect them. And then the other phrase he said was, what we're doing is we're selling emotional comfort, which is completely consistent with our characterization of we're in the relationship business. It puts a finer point on it. And in fact, tomorrow we'll talk about it again, because it is, people are looking for that psychological comfort. They're looking for a psychological payoff when they're with you or your team in the law firm. That's what they're coming to the firm for. So I really like the phrase of selling emotional comfort as well.
Yeah, I like that. And the whole idea of collecting the dots so you can connect the dots, you probably need a system or a device or a technology to do that. And that's one of the things the Academy has with its database. You can start collecting all of those dots, who they're married to, what the names of their kids are, all of that kind of stuff. Remember, you're in the relationship business. So I hope you don't think this is all too woo-woo because you were looking for hard tactics and strategies, but this is the basis of who you are. Remember we talked earlier about this is the way we draft documents here. This is the way we answer the phone here. This is the way we hold meetings here. That's all based upon this kind of underlying matrix of hospitality. Okay, Sarah, you want to load me up again?
Yes. Gonna give you remote access. You should click on the slide and then wait a few moments and you should be set.
Okay, so let's stop that concept for a second, let it marinate for a while, but we want to create an efficient hiring system. And this is the next step after you say, well, this is the kind of team I want. So let me give you a step-by-step of what the Academy's hiring system is. And that the step number one is that the owners get tested. Now we talked about all these tests, this Strength Finders, Kolbe, and Profile XT. We want you to get tested because remember, you're building a team around you. So the owner gets tested and we attempt to identify your unique abilities and confirm what type of people work best with you. So A clone of you is probably not going to be a good hire because they don't bring anything that you don't bring to the table. So what it also happens when you get tested, it compares you with Academy's best performing members. Remember, Sandy mentioned that we have this entire database of profiles of each function that the Academy member firms have. So there's these 3 tests. The first one is this Profile XT, and this is the one we recommend. And it will do multiple areas that it tests. And what the company that provides this test, we've had a relationship with them for more than 20 years, and they will do a free test for every owner. So if you join the Academy, you're an owner, you get a free test. And the test is not really the thing that you care about so much. It's the conversation with the people at that company and explain to you what the test means, what all these scores mean. And many times the scores mean something completely different than you would intuitively think. So that's the Profile XT, and you'll get a free test if you become a member so that you can start building your team around you and what you need. And then of course the other helpful tests, the Kolbe Index A, the Strength Finders, and even the Briggs-Myers. Okay. Oh, there we go. Step 2 in this efficient hiring system. Implement something called the group interview process. Now, if you are like most people, and certainly like Sandy and me when we first started, is when you go to hire somebody, you put an ad out there, you collect a lot of resumes, and then you sort through the resumes, and you got a stack of people that you want to meet with, and then you start having them come in for one-on-one meetings. And by like kind of a nod of your head, is that not the way most people hire somebody, and then the best candidate is the one that you pick? Well, we have a different view of that, because I have been in many hiring situations where the person walks through the door and I immediately know this person is not for me. Whatever the characteristic is, they're not for the firm. And do I immediately terminate the interview? No, because you're nice people. And what we do is we spend time knowing that this is not the person we're going to give any further consideration. So we want to get rid of all of that. And so the way we do that, we want to have a group interview process. And we've got a complete system on how to do that. And that is, you get the resumes and you sort them out, and then you invite people to come in, and they all are there at the same time. And what you do is you then stand up in front, or somebody on your team stands up in front of them and says, this is what this firm is all about. Here is our why. This is our culture. And then give a presentation about your firm. And what will happen is that certain people will shine in the group. And those people that shine are the people you want to have come in then for the one-on-one. And oftentimes in the group interview, you'll have several team members looking at people, so you can have different points of view as to who you think are the best candidates. So if you have this group interview process, it weeds out the unfit candidates because they probably won't show up. It allows the promotion of the firm culture and history. You select the stars to interview one-on-one, and then you follow it up immediately with the Profile XT at MCM. And your Sandy mentioned earlier this morning, you want to make sure you never fall in love with a client or with a prospective team member too early before you get the test. Because we have been so sure about somebody, and then we get the test results back and we go, oh my God, they're a 1 on energy, or they're whatever the item is. And then we know that that's not for us. And you don't want to hire against the test. So this is the efficient system for hiring step 2 with the group interview. Now, in Jim Collins' book, the classic business book, Good to Great, he says you have to have the right people on the bus. The bus is your firm, in the right seats. And the who of the team should come before the what of the business. So the who before the what. A new book coming out called The Who Before the How. And so it's everything is the team. Shakespeare once said, the play's the thing, In this business, the team is the thing. It is everything. So simply put, we want to get people who are GWC, and that is people who get it, people who want it, and people who have the capacity to do it. And there we've got the shining face of Chloe that you've seen on the screen. And Chloe is one of those people who absolutely gets it, wants it, and has the capacity to do it. And oftentimes we say, this is somebody who has batteries included. That's what you want, batteries included. Someone who has initiative, who has passion for the job. And that's the kind of person that you're looking for. Now, in order to do evaluations on people after they're hired, this is kind of like a real problem in most businesses because everyone postpones doing this. You know, the evaluations on how people have done and the expectation that's going to be a salary increase and all of the kind of anxiety that goes with a team member evaluation. We found a better way. We found something called a 3A+, and it's a very simple way. You want to judge people or grade people on their capability. One capability is they can't reasonably become a 3 in this role. So don't even continue any further. With all the training in the world, they'll never get it. Number 2, hey, this person has got potential. And with the right training and nurturing, they could be a 3. And then of course, a 3, they already have all of the skills and capabilities. So somebody is graded either a 3, a 2, or a 1 on capability. The next column is impact. And we're really, really big upon the impact of each team member with other team members. You don't want prima donnas. You don't want people who are sabotaging their fellow workers. So impact talks about an individual's impact on those they interact with. Their eagerness to work in a way that helps others. Absolutely crucial. And an A, so a 3 would be the capabilities. On the impact, an A has a positive impact on others. You're happy and the whole team is happy to have them on board. B is mixed impact on others. Sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're not. And a C, they have a negative impact on others. Now, I want you to just think about your particular team that you have now or teams that you may have had in the past. You all know what I'm talking about when somebody has a negative impact on others. Oftentimes they're the prima donnas. Oftentimes they think that they're the most important person on the team. So we got the capability, the impact, and then of course, we're always concerned about the effort that people are going to put in. So an individual's level of focus and effort in accomplishing their objectives. It's a plus if it's a 9 or 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. If it's below 9, then they're a minus. So the ideal score is to have a 3A+. Now, what makes this such a fabulous tool is that you ask the employee to fill this out. You have them grade what they are in capability, impact, and effort. And most people think, well, everybody's going to just sandbag it. They're going to say that they're great. Well, that's not our experience. People are honest about it. And then you as the manager come in and just give your feedback on their assessment of themselves. So now we don't have a one person against another. We have a collaboration with the idea of bringing everybody to a 3A+. And we have these forms. We're happy to share them with you if you like, but it takes all of the pressure off of evaluation. And of course, this is this old adage, hire slow and fire fast, because if you've got a bad employee, they have a ripple effect in the business. They're toxic to your business and to your life. They're toxic to other employees. And there's certainly a loss of leadership, because if the rest of the team sees that you're not taking action against somebody who is clearly a bad hire, then they start to doubt your leadership. So team building meetings. We recommend that you have meetings regularly, a system for regular staff meetings, weekly staff meetings, and it has an agenda. It's not let's just get together and talk. And it's often led by the staff. You stay out of it. Allow somebody else to rise to the occasion, to be elevated by this process. So you want to have the weekly staff meetings where you talk about all kinds of things in the firm, including maybe cases that are pending. Why is this case behind? What can we do to help? And then you want to also have periodic fun gatherings, bowling, pizza, dinner with each staff member. And of course, an annual retreat. And it says with acknowledgements. This is where each person on the team actually submits acknowledgements about other members of the team. So we have to bring lots of Kleenex to these meetings because it's the first time that anybody has ever felt the love from their teammates over what they've been doing through the year. So these are meetings that we think are very important to have. And then, of course, you want to make sure that wherever you're taking somebody from when they come on board, you want to increase their skills, increase their capabilities. And the best way to do that is to educate them on what the academy systems are, how you've interpreted the academy system. And it's a learning resource that will transform law firms from where people are on a path to mastery. And we're making learning easy. We have got this in the cloud, hosted on a cloud server, 24/7 access to all of your team members. There would be a calendar tool that keeps track of the learning events, assignments, and training, private file area where you can manage your assignment files and notes, and a discussion forum where there can be general discussions and comments and technical questions. This is not just in your firm, but it could be academy-wide, so you find out what other team members are doing in other academy firms. And the training is obviously online, and there's a whole list of self-study courses and what it looks like with the online interface. So we've talked about this accountability and hiring system. This is the summary of it. There's no business unless you have other people. You want to be system rather than people dependent. You want to hire for hospitality traits like Danny Myers talks about. You want to get everyone tested, use the group interview. You want to use the ideal team, GWC, you remember what that is? Gets it, wants it, and has the capabilities of doing it. Evaluate them using the 3A+ system, hire slow, fire fast, weekly team meetings with an agenda, and invest, really, really invest in your team for learning a path to mastery. So now we're at system number 5, comprehensive technology system. Remember I said at the beginning that the size of a golf ball now, and in 20 years, it's going to be the size of the sun. So technology is rapidly changing all the time. So what we want to do in system number 5 is leverage online and offline tools to draft documents and manage your firm. And that could be one piece of software. And we're going to talk about how that all works. Maybe not. There we go. It's so interesting because everyone thinks that tech support is really a brand new sort of profession. And yet people have been helping with technology throughout the ages. And in the Middle Ages, medieval times, tech support was also alive and well. So it's a very, very old profession. And so what we want to do is just watch this little video so you can see what it looked like in the past. Okay, so this discussion is about the 6 principal technology systems that you need to have in your firm. It's a comprehensive technology system. And although I'm going to go over all of the elements of what the Academy offers in terms of technology with database, document assembly programs, all of that, what I really want you to take away is that you should have a burning desire to have a demo, because that's the only way you'll really get a sense of how powerful this software is if somebody walks you through and has you on the keyboard actually using it. But let's give it a shot if we can explain the whole thing. What we want is a client relationship management as a part of our software. And that's a database that records everything that's going on in your firm. Every client call, every email that goes out, all of it is cataloged so that there's a complete record of what happened. It's local, either in the network or in the cloud. Ours is in the cloud. And so that means you don't need to have all kinds of expensive systems in your office. All you need is a browser and an internet connection. We've got a document assembly program that effortlessly creates the kind of documents you want. All of the different documents that the Academy has available they all reside inside the software. You want to have a website. A website is also a piece of technology that's going to help not only manage your firm, but grow your firm through online marketing. You want to have workflow systems, and we've got it embedded right in our software so that if you want to know how to create, let's say, a revocable inter vivos trust or living trust for a new client, you just click on that workflow and it says, step 1, this is what you do. Step 2, step 3, step 4. And it really is a way to train either new people or make sure that your systems are fine-tuned. You want to have a communication system, a communication that you have with people outside of your firm. And we'll talk about what that looks like. So all of those things make up a comprehensive technology system. So it's software as a service. So it's a cloud-hosted server, and the program we have at the Academy is called Council Pro 8. That means it's gone through 8 different iterations, and this is the latest and greatest, all in the cloud, all of the services available with a browser and an internet connection. And so there's advantages to software as a service. That's what SaaS stands for. It's affordable, you can quick to deploy, zero infrastructure involved, seamless upgrades. We do the upgrades for you. You can work anywhere, work from home, work from the beach, go on vacation, and work from a foreign country if you want. It's got higher security than you could have on a server situation with servers in your office. And it has high adoption rates because it's so easy to use and access. And an internet connection is all the infrastructure that you need. Council Pro 8 has the following. It's an integrated, Academy integrated model to manage your practice and generate estate plans. So that's the kind of mission that this software has. And it's made up of 3 components. One is this software program called Action Step. Action Step is a database software that's in the cloud, and our software is based upon Action Step. It's completely customized for Academy members. It's also coupled with Hot Docs that's in the cloud. So all of the estate planning documents are already in Hot Docs and can be accessed through Action Step into Hot Docs to draft the documents. There is also another portion of the software, which is accounting. Now, some members use it and other members use QuickBooks. If they've had experience with QuickBooks, all gets integrated together. So it's one comprehensive solution. And as we said, everything to manage your firm: practice management, document automation, marketing tracking. As Sandy mentioned earlier today, we're all about tracking everything. Whether you've got a seminar or a webinar, we want to know how many people registered, how many people showed up, how many people made appointments, how many people canceled, how many people you retained, and everything in between. And it all does it very seamlessly through the software. It gives you management reports on everything that's happening in the firm. Again, we talked about accounting. And here's the last one on the lower right called the Client Portal. This is an extraordinary innovation. And this is where you can upload documents to this client portal and give the clients or the client's family a password so they can access their documents or anything else that they want. That's how it goes. It goes out to the portal, but also it goes the other way. Let's say you're doing funding and you want all of the statements from the Merrill Lynch and the insurance policies and all kinds of different information so you can properly fund the trust. Clients can upload it to the client portal. So it really, really is something that makes it much more convenient to actually manage documents. It's a robust relational database, and that means that each piece of information can relate to something else. The prospects, the clients, the vendors, the events that you have and their results, all the correspondence that exists, both email, written letters, all of that contained within the database. You can track marketing expenses, document workflow that we talked about before, firm-wide benchmarks. Remember those benchmarks that Sandy talked about this morning that actually tell you whether you're on track or off track, whether your revenue per employee, your revenue per attorney, all of those things can get reviewed instantly on the firm-wide benchmarks in the software. And then all of the to-dos and notes. This is so important because if you're running a practice and you don't have everything that happens with communication with the client, and 5 years from now, somebody, God forbid, wants to sue your firm, and you are saying, well, I think this happened or I think that happened, that's not going to happen with this software, because you'll be able to say on January the 20th, the client called and here was the discussion. On the March the 3rd, here's some, and it is a remarkable way to show that you've got complete control of all of the details of your practice. It's matter management and matter centricity. What that means is it's not contact-based software, it's matter management. So each client will have a matter, whether it's a estate planning matter, a Medicaid matter, a trust administration matter, a probate matter. All of it is handled that way and it's organized that way. So it takes a little bit in the beginning to really understand how matters work, but once you get it, it's just a new lens to look at the way your practice is. And there's contacts and roles, file notes, documents, email, calendar, time records, billing, work in progress, and it goes on and on. Again, ask for a demo so you can see all of it in action. Document automation. So there's a picture of the Action Step CP8 screen, and it is very, as you can see, it's very elegant. It is not crowded with a lot of information, and you can go from tab to tab, and it takes you, you see the band up at the top, the yellow, then the green, then the orange. That's how you're moving through the workflow. So you can see at any time where you are in that particular client's work. Predefined letters, engagement agreements, all of those are already loaded in the software so that you can easily generate them. And since you've already got all the data in there, it's a push of a button and it fills out these forms. Living trusts and other complex documents are created step by step from questions that you'll answer. Remember earlier today I said, this is the easiest part of your practice, producing world-class documents for your clients, because it's all done through the proprietary software of the Academy. Document management, how you store the documents, it has automatic backups, it's integrated with Microsoft Office, full text search, email integration, and secure document exchange. I'm not even sure what secure document exchange means. I think that means maybe something in the portal. But you manage the documents as well. And then custom workflows. This is what we talked about on step by step on creating estate plans for new clients, creating estate plans for existing clients, how you market, how you do probate, how you do trust administration. There are workflows for every single one of those. So you come in, and if you want to customize the workflows, we give you the suggested workflow. If you want to customize it, you can do it. Marketing, you track the status of the marketing campaigns and activities. And when we get to the marketing module, which is next, we're going to show you all of the campaigns that the Academy has for you to generate new prospects and clients. You want to enhance the lifetime communication with clients. We talked about the comprehensive software will allow you to communicate with clients, and we believe in lifetime communication. It's not you have the engagement is over and you get paid and now we're done. That's the way most lawyers do it. That's just the beginning of the relationship, and that is how we nurture the clients for follow-up work, referrals, and all of that. Determines the effectiveness or the return on investment of campaigns. Sometimes you think a campaign worked really great, but then when you look at the numbers, you find out, oh my God, that wasn't so hot. Things you didn't think were great, all of a sudden are stellar. You want to show prospects to client conversion rates, and you can actually forecast income and cash flow. So that's the Council Pro 8, but we also want to stay in touch with our clients, with our prospects. So there are mail merge letters, notify prospects, clients, and vendors of law changes, review meetings that you're going to have, special client seminars, appointment confirmation. Everything's already loaded into the software. And so you push a button, and since all of the data is already there, it merges it together, and you've got the thing that you need. And here's another thing to say, stay in touch. Here's Cheryl David, who is a longtime member in Greensboro, North Carolina. She every month sends out this digital newsletter. And this digital newsletter has various little stories and articles and information in it. And if a client clicks on one of them and reads it, Cheryl gets notice that that client read that article. And so it can be a way for you to follow up. Oh, I see you were interested in Medicaid planning. Maybe we could set up an appointment. So it's consumer-friendly online newsletters for clients and prospects. And it's created by a company that we have a very close relationship with. It's called Industry Newsletters. These are custom articles, on-target email blasts, tracking and analytics, and special Academy pricing with this industry newsletter. So that's what Cheryl's clients would get on a monthly basis, and they're very pleased with the results. Also, we have something called send out cards. Many of you may have already heard of this, but these are custom designed cards that you can send out for birthdays and holidays, seminar invitations, client review notices, final signings, thank you cards, all of those things. And what we do at the Academy, we design the cards for you. And this is a firm in Reno that's an Academy member, Anderson, Dorn, and Rader. And that's the card that we designed for them. It gets sent out automatically, so you don't have to put stamps on anything. And it comes to the client as it looks just like a regular card from somebody. They open it up and you can put in all kinds of greetings. And we've got SEO autoresponders, and some of you who are technical know that the SEO is search engine optimization autoresponders. You can nurture prospects who have visited your website and they've clicked on it, they've given you their email address. You can now constantly or regularly send out messages to them automatically. You can send out free reports, you can thank you email, and all kinds of campaigns can be created automatically as soon as a prospect gives you their email address. So if we bring it all together, as I said before, you want to ask for a hands-on demo of Council Pro 8 to see just how a comprehensive software program can not only help you draft the documents, but manage your practice as well. And it's really quite extraordinary. If those of you who do not have a comprehensive database to manage and create documents, this will be a lifesaver for you. Oh, great. That was quick. Okay. Now we're on to system number 6, the last of the day, but one that's very, very important. It's the integrated marketing and public relations system. And the way we like to describe it is multiple marketing activities generating an endless supply of qualified prospects. That's like having a great dream in the middle of the night and waking up and saying, oh my God, we have multiple marketing activities generating an endless supply of qualified prospects, because that's the goal. That's what we want to do. And the Academy is uniquely qualified to do this. I've been practicing law for 44 years. And when I first started, that was really the claim to fame, is that we created a marketing juggernaut, that we could bring in clients at will and created an incredible number of estate plans because of it. So what we want to do is give you a complete overview of all of the channels that are available to you for marketing. And many of you, I am sure, have never heard of some of these or seen it presented in this kind of way. So I hope you get a lot of great information from it. Okay, here I thought I was. Oh, there we go. So before we begin, we got 3 crucial steps that we want to talk about. Number 1, identify your target market. Number 2, calculate the lifetime value of your client. And number 3, create a unique planning process. And if you master these, that you understand your target market, you know what the lifetime value of your client is, and you've got a unique planning process, you can cut through all of the noise in your market and be the one who stands out. So the first thing, step one, identify your target market. So it doesn't matter what legal services you offer, you must know your market. And when we say legal services you offer, we can be talking about basic estate planning, advanced estate planning, Medicaid planning, if you choose to go into financial services, and of course, all of the post-mortem kind of planning. So there's a market for each one of those, and the Medicaid market is completely different than an advanced estate planning market. So you may have several target markets that you're aiming at. So you got to identify where you want to play. And one of the ways to identify a target market is to create an avatar. And an avatar just is a symbol of what that market looks like. And so you want to ask a lot of questions about the market. And we help you go through this as practice building coaches do. Where do they work and live, their income range, hobbies, where do they shop, what are their political views, magazines they read, where do they go on vacation, what kind of car do they drive, how old are they single or married? All of these things come together to really form a view in your mind of your target market. And it's so effective that when you really get it down, if you're in the supermarket and you look down the aisle and you see somebody, you can say, oh my God, I know everything about that person because I have the patterns that person exhibits, and you can market to that. So once you get the target market, you want to tailor all of your marketing to that group. You don't want to be sending marketing messages to estate planning messages to a Medicaid client. And you don't want to be, and if you have a target market that's special needs children, families that have special needs children, you don't want to send a different kind of a marketing message to them. So you got to be making sure that there's a message to market match. Step number 2, and this is the one I love, and that most attorneys have no idea about this, because everyone's transactional. They have this particular assignment that somebody comes in, they want to do a living trust, they want to do something else, and then they do the work and they close it. But they don't recognize that you get a client, you make a sale to get a client, because the client's where the thing is. The client for a lifetime value, and each client that you have is going to produce a lot of revenue for you if you do it right. And by the way, these numbers that are down here, there's no right answer. We just threw some numbers in there that relatively are important to understand how the process works. So there's initial transactions, and whether that's $4,500, $3,800, $6,000, doesn't matter. But then there's amendments. There may be a couple of amendments at $3,390, a restatement, $3,495, annual maintenance program. We're not going to go into that right here, but you could have that at $495 a month for 10 years. Medicaid or advanced planning, got the numbers there. Trust admin, 2 deaths, the first death and second. Funeral trust, referrals that they give you. So a lifetime total of an average client could be like $41,000. So all the marketing dollars that you're spending today could have a lifetime value of $41,000. And if you add financial services, it could be a couple of $100,000 from one client. So you want to make sure that you look at your clients, not as that initial transaction, but for the lifetime of them. And remember, we're a multi-generational business. So you have mom and dad, then you have the kids, and then if you're very young, you may get the grandkids. So you've got lots of opportunities to stay with the family and generate revenue. So for example, how would you treat your clients if you knew their true lifetime value? I mean, when a client now is worth to you $41,000 rather than just that initial $5,000, now it opens up all new imaginings of how you market and how much marketing you will spend to get a client. Step number 3 is unique estate planning process. Now, this is where everyone falls down. They just go with the crowd. You know, we sell living trusts. We sell wills. No, that's not what you do. You have a unique planning process that prevents comparison with other lawyers. So many believe that estate planning services are just commodities. We've said that before today. And it makes no difference who creates your like bundle of papers, whether it's the Jones or the Smith law firm, or if you go online to LegalZoom. That's what clients often think. You can't blame them because, you know, if we asked you, how did you choose your doctor or your CPA, you know, how do you judge? And so we're going to show you how to make sure that they judge you in the proper way. So you got to differentiate your firm and the services you offer. You want to prevent comparisons at all costs. Generic plan versus a custom plan from your law firm. A generic plan versus a custom plan from your law firm. You want to package your service as a unique process. I hope you're writing this down because this is like absolute gold if you really grasp it. The process, your process that you create should have multiple client-friendly steps. It's not just come in and we'll draft some documents for you. No, you want to have a multiple step process and you want to feature it in all of your marketing material. And so we've got inset in this slide here, a 6-step system. And so Academy members have a 6-step roadmap for every client. It's not just documents, it's a 6-step system. I'll show you what that all means. So here's your estate planning roadmap. Number 1, a personal consultation. So personal consultation, roadmap, and plan design. That's client meeting number 1. We call that the personal consultation meeting. Number 2, asset inventory client meeting. That's meeting number 2. And this is where you inventory and get copies of all of the statements and documents that are for each of the assets the client has. Number 3, plan development. And this is where the actual documents are created. And this is done not in a meeting. This is the attorneys and the law firm staff create the documents. Then number 4, you have something called the formal signing ceremony. It's not just a signing ceremony. It is a formal signing ceremony. And at client meeting, and that's number 3. Client meeting number 4 is step number 5, which is a risk assessment, funding, and plan delivery. And then number 6 is lifetime communication and updates. So when someone calls your office, they're not just getting documents, they're getting a complete system to protect their family. So here's what clients get when they have a meeting with an Academy member, a step-by-step path to your family's peace of mind. And it's got all of the things for each of the 6 steps. And so it's difficult to compare. So when you've got this unique 6-step system, bare bones plan that somebody gets from an ad in the newspaper, you know, $395 trust, or they buy it online or whatever, versus a 6-step legacy planning system. And this is a thing that used to happen all the time in our law firm. And I'm sure if you raised your hands, it happens to all of you as well. Receptionist gets a call, person says, how much does it cost to get a living trust? Right? You've all had that call. How much does it cost to get a living trust? Well, before you would like tell them how much it costs to get living trust documents. But what you tell them instead is like, well, the documents are like essentially free. There's no charge for the documents. What we charge for is a complete 6-step system to give you family protection and peace of mind. We're not in the document business. And if you are in the document business, you'll live and die by the cheapest provider out there. And that's not what you want. You want to set yourself apart. So you do not talk about the cost of documents. It's about planning that you're going to do. And if somebody insists on getting the cheapest documents, guess what? They're not your client. And all you have to say is next, because there are lots of people out there who fit into the ideal client that the Academy wants you to have. So, and it also launches your client relationship. You're not in a vendor customer relationship. Now you've got a relationship that's being built. This unique planning process creates a strong relationship with your clients. It obviously in the future will generate referrals. It gets you out of the transactional practice. We want you to hate the transactional practice. Never want to do it again. Just want to create relationships. And there is work that gets done in that relationship. And it realizes the full lifetime value of the client, not just the initial transaction. So let's back up a little bit. What is marketing? Marketing, very simple, is where people get to know you, like you, and trust you. Now, what does that mean? If they don't know you, it doesn't matter what kind of a process you've got. They've got to know you first. And once they know you, they can't hate you. They got to like you. And then the next step is they've got to trust you, because we're in the trust business, relationships of trust. So know, like, and trust is what it's all about. And here's like a total marketing process. And it starts like know, like, and trust, we just talked about. Then the word sample is in there. And then after sample, retain, refer, and repeat. So rinse and repeat kind of thing. Well, what's this thing called a sample? We're great believers in the Academy of giving people something that they can relate to, giving them something that will be a sample of your process, a sample of your product. So let's take a typical example. Let's say you're giving a seminar or a webinar. They know you, they like you, they trust you, and there you are, let's say in a seminar, and you are presenting yourself. They get to see how you look, how you dress, how you speak, whether you're sincere, whether you're authentic. And that's the sample they get. They don't get a sample of the documents. They get a sample of you and your firm. And that's why everything has to be tightly organized. Know, like, and trust, get a sample, and then you retain them, you get referrals from them, and then you repeat. Now, it's easy to say all of this, but there's lots of steps in between and lots of work that needs to be done. But this whole idea of sampling, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a seminar, whether it's a speaking engagement, whatever it is, you want them to get a sense of you and your firm. That's the sample they get, because that's what they want. They can't understand the documents. Most lawyers can't understand the documents. So your successful first step is you want to identify those that are interested in your message. So if you're talking about a special needs trust and you're talking to a group and people raise their hands because they have special needs children, oh, wow, that's it. You've identified those people where your message resonates. If you want to talk about basic estate planning, you want to talk about probate, conservatorship, death taxes, all of that. You want to make sure whatever message you're putting out there, people raise their hands when they're interested. That's all marketing is, getting them to raise their hands. And there's a multiple ways of doing that. So marketing needs to be a system, not just random acts. People who say, oh, I'm going to do a seminar here, maybe I'll do one in 6 months. No, you need to have a complete organized year laid out in advance. And this is something I heard a long, long time ago, and it really stuck with me, that there's only 3 ways to expand your revenue and your business. And this, it doesn't matter whether you're a car repairman or whether you're a lawyer or a CPA. And that is, number 1, you acquire more new clients. Now that's a no-brainer, right? Everybody knows that marketing is to get more new clients, but is it? It's only 1 of 3. The second one is you've got a whole database of existing clients, and they get to buy more services. They get to buy a funeral trust. They get to buy an amendment, a restatement, and maybe insurance, maybe financial service. So existing clients buy more services. And then the last one, and this is one that's near and dear to our heart, and that is to increase the fees that clients pay. That's how you can grow your business. If you're charging $2,500 for a full portfolio estate plan, and you move that up to $38,000 or $4,000, you have just increased your business. And we will harp on you and harp on you for you to increase your fees, because what we found generally is that most attorneys do not get the right fees for the value that they deliver, and they're afraid to ask for it. We'll give you all the confidence in the world to ask for the fees you deserve and say no to those that won't pay that, because believe me, there's lots out there who will. So you need to have systems for what we call revenue generating channels. And this is something you'll want to write down, because we believe there are 4 marketing channels. One is what we call direct marketing strategies. That's a webinar, a seminar, something where you go out and you actually go directly to the marketplace. The next one is client referral strategies. You've got a database of clients. You want those people referring their friends, their family, anybody they talk to. You want them to be real cheerleaders or champions for your firm. You want to have center of influence referral strategies. So that's a marketing channel, COIs. And that's the CPAs, the funeral home directors, the financial advisors, insurance agents, nursing homes, ton of referrals that you can get from centers of influence. And then the last of the 4 is online strategies. And trust me when we say that in the last 6 months, we at the Academy have pivoted from person-to-person sorts of strategies to many digital or online strategies. It doesn't mean we've ignored the others, but this online stuff, this virtual world, this is going to last longer than COVID-19. This is permanently changed the way Americans and people around the world do business. So you want to really master these online strategies. So there you got 4 revenue channels. What could be simpler than that? Direct marketing, clients, COIs, and online strategies. But there's a bonus. There's one more. And that bonus channel is acquiring other law practices. Nobody has probably told you this, but if you have other attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, bankers, business brokers tell you that there's an attorney who is thinking of retiring, you want to look carefully at buying that practice. And we can show you how to buy the practice without putting very much money into the deal at all, that they get a percentage of the business going forward for a limited period of time. We've got many members who are buying practices because lawyers don't understand the value of their practices. They just say, I want to retire. I've had enough of this. I want to sell. And most of the time, they don't know it has any value at all. So we can show you how to acquire other practices. And you might think, well, are there many practices that are available out there for sale? Let me tell you, attorneys are very, very old. If you look at the demographics of the national age of attorneys, the great bulk of them are ready for retirement, and they've got this practice that they don't know anything about the value. We can show you how to milk the value out of that, make everybody happy, and you take a non-academy firm, and then you take their clients and run them through the academy marketing and systems. Oh my God, it's a beautiful thing to see. So you can, we have one member in Indianapolis who he had been marketing for a long time, so that this other attorney inside Indianapolis saw his ads all the time, and he was ready to retire, and he wanted his clients to be looked after. He wasn't looking for any money. He just wanted to make sure the clients were serviced. So he called Paul and said, I want to give you my practice if you promise to look after these people and do well by them. And so Paul, of course, said, sure. And then the year after he acquired that practice, he made more than $300,000 off of the clients that were given to him. This is not an anomaly. If you have an eye out in your community for people who are ready to sell practices, then you can take advantage of that as well. And we'll show you exactly how to do it. But that's a bonus. The 4 are direct response, marketing, client referrals, COI referrals, and online marketing. Okay, now The worst number in marketing is 1. I guess 0 is worse than 1, but most people just do one thing and that's all they do. If they're doing seminars, that's all they do. If they're doing COIs, that's all they do. What we want you to do is create a broad spectrum of marketing activities, multiple streams every single month. And what you want to do is create a yearly marketing calendar, mapping out all of the activities at a glance. Now, this is a year. Sandy mentioned earlier that many of our Academy members are winding up 2020. God, this 2020 can't get over soon enough. But 2020 is going to, they're going to have all of their marketing activities mapped out for 2021. And you should have substantial firm resources devoted to marketing, let's say in 2021. And the attorney must lead the charge. The attorney has to be the champion of all of those marketing activities. So you don't have to do all the activities, just be the champion for them. And you want to spread your marketing around. Now, here's a list of some of the things that successful members in the Academy use with multiple revenue streams. They get referrals, they get public and private seminars, they do automated webinars and just regular webinars, trust administration, basic and advanced planning, annual maintenance program, amendments, restatements, funeral trusts, and if you choose to, you can go into insurance and investments. All kinds of revenue streams. So if one dries up, you've got others waiting there for you. You want to spread your marketing around. Now, here are some marketing tools that the Academy has and we've had for years. These are tools that will produce result. You want to list the marketing tools from each group and use in new campaigns. So here is, like, I don't want to go through each one of these things, but on referrals, on SEO and social media and direct response, in niche marketing, we have got tools in every single one of these areas for you to be able to engage in campaigns. And the first thing you must know is that you've got to know your percentages. You've got to know in a seminar and webinar marketing example, we use that just for for instance, in any audience, what percentage of the people will make appointments? Now, we've had like 27 years worth of experience from all of the members of the Academy. So we can tell you, if you put on a seminar, 1/3, 30 to 1/3 of the people in the audience, not buying units, people in the audience will make appointments. There you go, there's a benchmark, 1/3. Okay, for webinars, we're still gathering all of the details on what the expected appointment rate should be when you're putting on a webinar. What's the percentage of kept appointments? That means that people went to this event, they were wowed by your presentation, they made an appointment, and what number of those people will actually show up at your office? Should be at least 80%. So that means 20%, a maximum of 20% will cancel or will no-show. And we've got ways to make that number as low as possible. And what percentage of appointments are retained? Should be at least 80 to 85%. So there you go, right there. Those are your numbers. And if you are looking at your numbers and keeping track of them, you should be able to hit those Academy benchmarks. And if you're not, then you talk to your practice building coach and we'll find out what's wrong, because this has been established over 27 years and even more before the Academy. So the threshold question in a marketing game, a numbers game, is if I want to retain X number of clients per month, if I want to retain whatever number you want clients per month, how many bodies do you need to be in front of? And that's the central question for your marketing coordinator or people who are handling all of this work for you. You want them to tell you, or you want to tell them, I need to be in front of X number of bodies because when I run through the algorithm, that will give me X clients, X number of clients. Let's see the math and how it works with seminar and webinar marketing. Let's say you have 20 people that attend a public or private seminar or webinar. 33% make appointments. So 1/3 of 20 is approximately 7 appointments. 10% cancel, that's now you've got 6 appointments. 85% retain the firm, that's 5 new clients. So you've just got a little formula. 20 people that you're in front of result in 5 new clients if you're doing things properly. And now you can scale that up or scale it down, but the formula will work. So if you work the numbers backwards, let's just say you can take any amount of money that you want to make in your firm. We just picked this $650,000. That's your annual gross revenue. Now, the possible sources for that revenue could basic and estate, advanced planning, Medicaid, trust admin, probate, insurance, financial services, whatever. So if you want $650,000, you divide that by 12, that means you've got a gross revenue per month target of $54,000. Everybody follow me so far? 650,000 divided by 12, $54,000 every single month that you'll need in order to get to 650,000. Well, the question is, how many people do you need to see? Well, let's do the numbers. And in your PBC, we'll walk you through this in a way that makes it real for you and your firm. Annual revenue, 650,000. Monthly revenue, 54,000. That means there's 14 clients at an average fee of $3,875. Oh, so you need 14 clients that will get you to that $54,000 if your fee is $3,875. To us, that's a little low on the fees, but nevertheless, it's just an example. So you need to be in front of 57 bodies per month. You don't have to worry about going behind the numbers. Trust us, that's the number. So your marketing coordinator and you say, okay, what can we do in all of our marketing campaigns and activities to get in front of 57 bodies per month? Because that will result in 19 appointments. If you lose 10% to cancellations and you meet with then 17 prospects and you retain 85%, that's 14 clients. Okay, so 14 clients is what you want to get, because 14 clients will give you that $650,000 a year or $54,000 a month. Now, the marketing calendar that Sandy's talked about and I've talked about, the question is, how are you going to speak to 57 people per month? Well, you get that annual marketing calendar and you identify all the local religious or holiday events. You lay all 12 months across a conference table and you start filling out all of your activities for the next 12 months. You want to insert the dates for routine tasks like e-alerts, newsletters, lunch and learns, and all of that. And you just keep adding these activities in a kind of systematic, consistent way. So the goal is to be in front of 57 people per month, because you already know if you're in front of that many, you're going to get those clients. Insert the activities that worked last year, public seminars, webinars, niche opportunities. And you got to allow enough time for consultations between your activities so that you're not just rushing around from room to room, but you've got it all laid out. And what's the nice thing the Academy does? We give you the marketing calendars with all of the religious and secular holidays already blocked off. We'll tell you when to do activities. Now, the only ones we can't do is we can't do the big events. Like, for example, that same member in Indianapolis, one year they hosted the Super Bowl. Do you think it would be a good idea to put on a seminar the week before our Super Bowl in Indianapolis? Well, no. And you figure out whether you've got a team that's competitive at all, and find out whether, you know, your town has been picked as the place where the game is going to be held. All of this stuff finds its way to the marketing calendar, and you continue to insert dates, private seminars and webinars, additional services, speaking gigs as a guest speaker. We love this idea of a guest speaker. Tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. You want to schedule CE courses, continuing education courses for financial advisors, insurance agents, any kind of group that requires that they have CE every single year. You can be the speaker, you can be the course leader. You want to schedule fee increases, letters and holiday promotions as well. Again, this is a lot of information at once, but it all finds its way onto this marvelous document called the marketing calendar, and it will look that way for a year. So what we've got, the strategies for each of the Academy's marketing systems. Remember, here's the 4: direct marketing strategies, clients, COIs, and online strategy. And then we've got a bonus. What's the bonus? Buying a practice. Okay. Marketing public and private seminars and webinars. Here's some Academy strategies. Primary seminar and webinar purpose. People do not understand the purpose of putting on a webinar or a seminar. The only purpose for doing that from your point of view as a business owner is to motivate the audience to make an appointment. End of discussion. That's the purpose. Now, you're going to give them all kinds of fabulous education, and it's going to be a necessary byproduct for them to make the appointment, but that's not the motivation. The motivation is to make appointments. So success for an event like that would be appointments. Failure would be few appointments. You want to focus all of your actions on creating appointments. That's the lifeblood of your firm. And the more of those that you can do, the more revenue you're going to generate and the more people you'll be able to help. So there's huge considerations about this though. So there's a maximum number of appointments that you can make at any particular month. It includes the number of hours you're willing to work. Do you want to work weekends and nights? That's okay. I mean, we're making no judgments about it, but if that's okay with you, then you've just increased the number of appointments that could be available for you. If not, then you have to be realistic about the number of hours you're willing to work. And then you need some help from support staff. The last thing you want to do is put on a seminar and have a massive number of people show up and make appointments, and you don't have the staff to handle them. You want to have the capacity to produce the estate plans, and you want to have the capacity to do the formal signing ceremony. And we walk you through exactly how to acknowledge what the maximum number of appointments and help from the staff that you'll need. Now, if you're going to do a seminar, choosing the seminar dates, and don't even worry why this is true. It's just true. The best days to do a seminar: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning. Wow, I didn't know that. Well, that's what, decades worth of experience has shown. Those are the best days. The bad days are Friday, Saturday afternoon, and evenings and Sundays, sometimes Mondays as well. You want to avoid holidays and special events, major sporting events. From December 15th to January 15th, that's dead. You're not going to be doing any marketing activities then. And the Academy seminar calendars, as I said before, we mark all those bad days off so you don't even have to worry about them. When do people come to seminars? The best times are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., or 7 p.m. Saturday, 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. Again, don't ask why. That's just the ones that are most effective. And it allows you to do multiple seminars on the same day, and 2 seminars per day is standard. If you want to do 3, it's kind of pushing it because it takes a lot of energy. And avoid 2 seminars at the same location on the same day because all you're doing is splitting your audience. Now that's the seminar world. That's the real world of people showing up in person, sitting in an audience, and you're speaking to them. That is going to come back, believe it or not. It doesn't look like it right now, but at some point, this whole pandemic is going to be over. People are going to go back to what we would call regular or normal life, and you'll be able to do seminars. As a matter of fact, some of the members in the Academy have started doing public seminars, real live public seminars. And we're going to be talking about that at the event, I think Thursday. We're going to be talking about that. Some of the members who are doing it, and they're going to give you their results. But even if it's a webinar, all of these things are very, very true for both. Choosing seminar locations. All you have to do is draw a circle. And what's a circle within 15 to a 20-minute drive away from your office? And you choose the locations within that radius, and you offer lots of options. Now, if you're doing a webinar, This is one of the advantages to webinars. You can use your whole territory. It doesn't matter whether it's 15 or 20 minutes drive away, especially if you can do remote signings. It's just kind of like opened up the world for more business and using all of the parts of your territory. So the Academy has seminar and webinar programs. And here's the list. I don't want to go through all of them, but you can read them. We've got seminars, webinars on everything, whether it's farmers and ranchers seminars, funeral trust seminars, estate planning for small businesses, the 7 costly mistakes, why most living trusts don't work, lawsuit and asset protection. All of these seminars are available, and we can talk to you about which ones to use and how frequently. And the programs, when we say we've got a seminar or a webinar, it doesn't just mean that we're going to give you a bunch of slides. It's a complete package. So the slides and the script, the seminar handout, there's something called My Legacy Workbook, advertising and direct mail pieces that you can send out, Academy's reports, and a complete follow-up system with tools to make them happen. So like the one that shows on the slide, they're protecting your family and leaving a legacy. That's our basic long-term, basic estate planning seminar that has produced millions and millions of dollars for members. And people are giving them all the time, either as a webinar or as a seminar. And here's some of the packages that we've got: basic estate planning, legacy wealth planning, LGBT planning, young family planning, you name it, and we've got something for it. And here, lawsuit and asset protection, long-term care, farmers and ranchers, special needs. So you'll work with your PBC to decide which are the best ones for you to use. Now, here's some strategies for advertising. There's what we've got for you in the tools that we use in marketing. We've got a complete library of display ads and inserts. We got a library of Facebook ads, step-by-step instructions to implement. We got a library of radio scripts. When I was, doing this regularly, I used to be on the radio all the time and do a 60-second spot to augment newspaper advertising, and it worked very well. We got a library of direct mail letters and postcards, all kinds of things that you can use once you've decided what kind of campaign you want to do. Private seminar marketing or private webinar marketing. This is just something that very few attorneys take advantage of. And we call these endorsed webinars and seminars. And the public is anyone you reach by public advertising, and even particular groups that you advertise to. That's a public webinar or seminar. An endorsed webinar or seminar is something different. It's opportunity to be endorsed as a guest speaker. So let's say you've got a CPA that you have a relationship with. You call that CPA and say, you know what, I would love for this information to get to your clients. I think it would be very helpful for them. And what I'm willing to do is to be a guest speaker, and we'll pay all of the costs for you to solicit your client base to be on a webinar or a seminar, and you get to talk to the people, and I will be introduced as the guest speaker, and you will get to capture that entire database of that other professional's clients. And you're not like stealing them, they can send them out, it doesn't matter. You just want them to attend. It works for the advisor and it works for you. And there's clients, financial advisors or CPAs, but there's also church groups, Rotary clubs, niche groups, many, many possibilities to do endorsed seminars. Some of you who don't have a big practice now and don't have a whole database of clients, this is a wonderful way for you to get the emails you need in order to increase your database of people. You don't have them now, but these other professionals around your community do have them. And you're willing, there's a systematic way for you to go to them and become a guest speaker to their clients. Real estate agents, that's another wonderful group that you can go to. because they may want to know, give information to the people that they work with on how to properly hold title to real estate. Well, gee, you give a seminar. You're the guest speaker. It helps the real estate agent by having them be perceived by their clients as somebody who's interested in their welfare. Endorsed seminars. You can cut the cost with endorsed seminars. Client acquisition costs are reduced because you don't have to have the high public seminar advertising expenses. And so you could have a $500 to $900 client acquisition cost if you use newspaper and direct mail. You could have a $7 to $75 acquisition cost if you're using a private endorsed seminar. So what you want to do is open up your mind to new possibilities of ways to get out to people who have the clients that you want without being in conflict with the services they're offering. And there's private opportunities you've got. Financial advisors, their entire client base, CPA, insurance brokers, financial planners, church congregations or groups. Oh my God, we've got so many members who have a relationship with the church that they actually attend, and they go to the pastor or minister or whatever and offer to put on a free webinar or seminar for the group. And you can often get even more buy-in or acceptance if you say, and we're going to have a section on charitable giving where we can talk about how they can do charitable gifts to the church. And that perks their ears up right away. College staff and alumni, hospital staff and patient groups, retirement groups, existing clients, private groups. The list is endless of these opportunities for you to be able to actually present to people that are essentially ideal clients. Okay, so that was the direct response, direct outreach. Let's talk about online internet marketing. These are some strategies with this whole new world of online marketing. And your clients are all online. My God, it's just changing so quickly. 89% of all adults are online. And that sounds like a low number to me. But 65 plus, 66% online, 50 to 64, 87% are online. So they're there, you just have to find a way to reach them. And you want to make sure that you don't foul up, because Google, you know, the 800-pound gorilla of online marketing, and Facebook, last 12 months at Google, there were 500 to 600 changes to their search algorithms. So if you're relying on something that was 5 years old, all of the rules may have changed and you could get into some trouble. So today's law firm just can't hang out a shingle anymore. Competition is international and you're going to have to change with it. And search in the legal industry. This is fascinating, what people do when they're searching for a law firm. And there's research that backs this up. People look at 4.8 attorney websites before contacting a firm. So they're not just going to yours, they're going to close to 5 websites. 89% of the internet users go online to find an attorney. And this translates into your own life. When you're looking for, you know, somebody to hire, you'll go online and Google people and find out what kind of testimonials they've got and whether they're good to do business with. 65% of people begin their search for an attorney online. It's not through friends and relatives, it is online. And so the question is, do you have a presence in this new online market? And what you want to do is create a strong online presence. And this is the Academy. There's lots of tools for you to do that. And the first step toward online market domination is to create an online presence. And online marketing, you've got to be visible. You've got to drive traffic to your website or to a landing page, and you've got to capture leads. That's the ABCs of a strong online presence. Now, it sounds easy. There's a lot of steps that are involved, and the Academy's there to walk you through how to do each one of those things. So you want to become visible. If you're not on the first page of Google, 91.63% of everything that happens happens on the first page of Google. And you get there by having a strong search engine optimization And that's a multi-step process that the Academy can work with you to boost your online presence. Step 2, you got to drive traffic. And the idea of driving traffic means you want to drive people to your website or to a landing page. And there's only 3 ways to generate traffic in the online world. You can buy it, you can borrow it, or you can create it. Most people go with the creating it, which is a lot of work. But you can borrow it. How do you borrow it? You go to people who already have traffic, and you get them to allow you to market to their lists. Or you can buy it by going on Google AdWords or buy it on Facebook ads. Lots of ways to drive traffic, and each of them has their own particular methodology of how to make it successful. And then the third one, of course, is lead capture. If you drive all these people to the places you want, but you don't have a mechanism for getting their email address, it's wasted effort. Becoming visible and creating traffic is only the beginning. You want the prospect to raise their hand, and they raise their hand by giving you their email address. And I don't have to tell you this. You've seen hundreds and hundreds of times in your own life where you come on something that you want, and they say they'll give it to you as long as you give them your email address. And that's the way it works in our world too. So you want to capture their contact information. You want to know what they're interested in and how do I get them to leave their contact information. And here's a little box that could be on a landing page, is your full name, their email address, and download now. And now if they do that, if I've got a free report, if I've got something that they want and they want that, they give me their email address, and now I've captured that email address, and online email address is the gold currency. That's what you want. You want as many email addresses of ideal clients as you can possibly get. You can do paid online, and that's Google AdWords, Facebook ads. And by the way, you got to be careful with these two because they can drive you into bankruptcy if you don't know exactly what you're doing. But used effectively, especially Facebook ads have been very effective for putting people into webinars. In fact, on Thursday, we're going to have a whole session on how to do online law firm marketing. Referral marketing systems. Here's the strategy. So we've got, here, this is the advertisement for COVID-19. Changed everything, and it did. We had to pivot from in-person things to online or virtual items. And what we did in, so when did COVID start? Probably things got locked down in March, and here we are in October. So it is like 7 months, 6-7 months we've been in this. And so we've had multiple membership-wide calls. And here's the dates of when we started. From March the 18th, we talked about business and marketing with COVID-19, implementation on the 20th, effective use of Zoom for webinars and client meetings, virtual consultations, landing page and MailChimp setup, and Facebook advertising. And then on the 13th of April, we had optimizing Google My Business page and online reviews. These are all membership-wide calls that are all recorded and are available for members to have you now enter effectively into the virtual world. Just for the owners, we also had some calls. In the March 23rd, a town hall with Sandy and me talking about the SBA loans, 326 employment law updates with our employment law lawyer who's going to be speaking at this event. I think he's speaking on Saturday. We had another one with Sandy and me on cash flow. And then in April, we talked about managing remote teams because everybody left the office. They're all at home. Anyway, these are membership calls where we had to create new material for the members because of COVID. Okay, business operations, webinars and consultations, and marketing. All of these are materials that we've created in the last 6 or 7 months. Okay, when we talk about referrals, there are 2 types of referrals. You've got existing clients, client referrals. They're the best kind of clients to get because they already come from people who know, like, and trust you. And it's very, very warm introductions that you get because they've been referred to you. Ideal sort of way to build your business. And then centers of influence, COIs. We talked about those: insurance agents, financial advisors, CPAs, and the like. Now, client referral marketing system, we got a whole strategy for both of these client referral systems that you want to get. So, for example, clients, you've got 8 opportunities to remind clients of seminar invitation requests for friends and families. So you give a seminar, personal consultation, asset inventory meeting, the formal signing meeting, 30 days post-signing, monthly online newsletters, quarterly paper newsletters, and client appreciation events. Those are 8 opportunities for you to ask people for referrals. And in no way do we want to be pushy at all. It's that if it's presented properly, people are happy, especially if they've been happy with your services. And here again is that Cheryl David newsletter we talked about earlier, which is an opportunity to ask your clients for referrals. Centers of influence referrals. This is a great one. And where should you look? Here's all the usual suspects. Look at all of those groups. These are people that can refer business to you. And we got marketing tools for that. We got something called an e-alert, special reports. I'm going to show you some of those in a moment. CE courses. This is where you're an instructor giving CE courses to other professionals for CE credits. And the Academy manages the whole thing for you. Monthly newsletters, client in common letters. This is like the most amazing thing. Every client that you have, you get the client's permission, and then you say, I would like to send a letter to your CPA, to your insurance agent, to your financial advisor, anybody that they do business with. And in that letter, it's a beautifully written letter, and it says that essentially telling the other professional that we have a client in common. So immediately you bond with that person by saying that you want to confer with them about the work you're doing on that client. All you're wanting to do is establish a relationship. And once you establish the relationship, then the referral conversations come into being. Special reports. So here we've got these special reports, and you can put them on your website. You can put them on landing pages. You can put them any place. And these are special reports that are written in layperson language, talking about all of the various issues in estate planning. So here's one called funeral planning, options for you and your family. Beautifully designed, beautifully written. They can download that on your website or any place else. And what do they have to give you in return for it? Just your email, their email address. Multiple page discussions on each topic, written in layperson language. Always have a call to action. You never want to give them out. You want to ask for an appointment, attend a seminar, enroll in a CE course, but you offer them everywhere. And we've got a ton of special reports that we revise every year to bring them up to date with any changes in the law. So I'm not going to go through each one of these, but look at all these. There's 9 of them on that page. There's a bunch more there. There's a bunch here. And then finally, the last one. No, that's not even the last one. The one that I love the best is number 37. To my dog Lucky, I leave $10,000. This is for pet planning. And you put all of these, we wrote them all for you. So it's put your name on them, put them on your website, and this is available to get people to give you their email address, and they're called special reports. Okay, CE programs. So we talked about these 4 marketing channels, and CE programs are a part of the centers of influence. And you can be viewed as the expert, the guru in your territory, in your area, by putting on CE programs. And you say, oh my God, I can't put on a CE program. What would I say? How do I get it authorized and permitted? Well, we do all that for you. your CE presentations, and you can become the local guru. They can establish you as a local expert. And referral groups for CE presentations, again, almost the same usual suspects. You identify these referral groups who need CE, and you're going to give them CE, and it's going to count toward their CE requirements in their industry. And so it's a certification system. And what you do, if you want to do this, is you submit the CE course form on the members only website at the Academy 60 days prior to the event you want to do. You pay a registration fee for us to get it registered for you. And then the Academy checks the material to make sure it qualifies. Now, we have our own materials that we give you if you want to present that, so we'll know that it qualifies. And then after the course, the member submits his attendance or her attendance, so the student gets credit. Very simple. But on our end, it's complicated as hell, because we have to make sure that the agencies that permit the CE courses find everything that we've done meets their requirements. And we've got somebody on staff who's dedicated to that. And once you do the CE presentation during the course, you of course want to present the materials competently. Like, for example, if you're doing CEs for CPAs and you start talking about taxes and you're not really that up on taxes, you'll get eaten alive by those CPAs. So you want to make sure that whoever you're talking to, you understand the material. And we've got material for you, but what we get concerned about is when they start asking questions once the presentation is over. But we walk you through all of that. And you can create the trust and confidence of the audience while you're doing it. And you make it easy for them to refer clients. Throughout these presentations in the CE course, we say, and this is how it works in our office. If you have a client that has this particular issue, or we had a client, we had somebody who had this particular issue, and this is how it worked out, so that people know you're friendly to referrals. And then after the course is done, you stay in constant contact. You create a graduate training group, and you track referrals carefully, because CE presentations can get you a lot of business over a long period of time because you've cemented a relationship with a center of influence. I talked about that client in common letter, all the accountants, financial advisors, bankers, life insurance agents, all of those. You send this letter and you say, hey, we got a mutual client. And you send it a letter, or you call for a meeting so you can establish that relationship. Wow, that is it.